Vauban.
Good evening, one and all. It is Wednesday, it's the middle of the week, and it is time for us to jump into some more good old Warframe. Hello everyone, hope you're doing well where you are around the world today. And indeed, it is a brand new old Warframe, because Vauban here has been retouched. Vauban has had not a rework, a retouch, so it's all the same abilities, but with a little bit more oomph behind them. That is the idea. And so that is going to be the focus of today's stream, but as we get into things, of course, bit by bit. So welcome in everyone. And don't mind the one Archon shard on there. I only discovered that myself moments ago actually, that I had a 10% ability damage on enemies affected by electric status Archon shard on there. I will probably have to take that off in a moment so that we can get adequate testing of Vauban here. But yeah. Also, Bite with a redemption of Purple Bite, more than just that, also resubscribing moments before the stream actually started proper, up onto 18 months. Much appreciated there, Bite. You can indeed. Happy Purple. Cheers for that. PR saying Reb sounded very excited to retouch Vauban. Fair do, fair do. And cheers to the hydrate there, Logrin. Welcome in, Templar. So, yes indeed. Now, with Vauban, what the main changes are, if I understand correctly, the main changes are that Tesla Nervous will now stun enemies straight away on attaching. They will find enemies more reliably, splitting up in a more appropriate way. Easier to visually keep track of where the Tesla Nervous go. Mind Layer has been switched from 4 mines to 2 mines, losing none of the functionality, but instead making for double functionality. So you have a Tailor Flechette, and you have a Vector Overdrive for a speed boost, a new speed boost, yeah, speed boost and a damage boost. Or you go for the grab and shooty, which is pretty nifty. Photon Strike hasn't had too much change so much as just how it uses what it does has been adjusted. So the radius of the explosion is slightly larger, it has blast procs on its hit.
No more interruptions.
Hey, it's Gabu, in fact. Hey there, thank you very much for dropping your subscription here up onto 4 months. Much appreciated. We'll take that interruption, absolutely. Cheers indeed. But yeah, Photon Strike, slightly wider AoE on the explosion, delivers blast procs as part of the Photon Strike, deals increased damage to Overguard. And by increased, I mean just double. That is one detail I'll be curious to see how effective that is, I'll be very honest with you. And then we have a Bastille/Vortex, so now you can place down a Bastille and have it grab any number of enemies, the enemy cap is removed, the bonus armor is increased, and I think that is by and large the majority of what we need to worry about there. There is also an increase in the, I think it was the magnetic status tied to strength. So you actually can apply magnetic status perhaps more reliably. But yeah, the main thing is that Bastille can hold an infinite number of enemies rather than having it capped to something based on your strength. So that is a very welcome bit there. So with those major retouches just kind of as they are, we need to see how that actually all works together. Eradicate. FPR saying there's a limit on how many Bastilles you can have out, but that's more than made up for by the enemy cap. Yeah. Yeah, if you need to handle many zones of Bastille, you're probably doing it wrong. Find a better zone. But yeah, so we can give this all a look in. Let's make sure this is on the no shooty setup. Yes, indeed. Brilliant. Now, I did see a cheeky little post on Reddit that I wish to basically attempt to somewhat recreate here. So let's... Honestly, these builds are all going to be out of date. So I'm just going to delete every single build, aside from the first one. First one, keeping there is just kind of a mental baseline, but the rest of it can just be obliterated, and we will rebuild from the ground up. None of the old, only the new.
Salutations from Iceland. Just popped here to renew my sub. Have a good time, everyone.
And you have a good time in Iceland there. Flowing Thoughts, thank you very much for dropping by with a 38-month resub. Much appreciated there, Flo. Enjoy your trip. I assume it's a trip. Enjoy your trip to Iceland. Cheers. You are on vacation. Cool, cool, cool. Wasn't sure if it's vacation or, a work trip. I figured it'd probably be vacation, but yeah. Have fun. Yes, there's a removal button. I didn't click it. But yes. From Alex Kamov saying, hello there, speaking of electricity, do we know what happened to electricity procs? At some point its procs stopped doing damage each separately and started doing accumulating damage. Each stack is similar to heat, but it's not heat, it doesn't endlessly stack its damage into one proc. How does it work now? I'm trying to process your exact concern there, because there's also the potential for it to be misinterpreted based on how many damage numbers do pop up on screen. Have you noticed anything aside from damage numbers don't seem to be all spread out to give you a concern about how they work, Alex? To distract us from dealing with everything else with Vauban. Have you come across anything that is particularly noteworthy, or is it just my damage numbers are all in one more readable number now?
The multitude of creatures you have immortalized would cry out in
You want to play Vauban more, but the crafting cost is wild for the Prime? It is a lot for the Prime, yes. I hope that no Warframe ever suppresses that kind of a build cost. Your complaint right now with Vauban is a buggy tether? Well, if you've got a bug, report it to the bug report forums. Those are the people that can help. Okay, so. You start at the very beginning. Let's just grab a whole lot of not much. Just a cute little blind rage and maybe a corrosive projection. Nothing much at all there. And if we just grab... Yep. A Grenadier Battle Group. Happy-doo. Okay. Not the result I was expecting. Hold on, let me ask the terminal here. How many are dead? 0. 0 are dead. Interesting. Very interesting. And by interesting, I mean concerning. Let's get some range on this. And try that again. Was that a rank 0 blind? Oh, is that why that didn't work? Yeah. See, this is what happens when it randomly resorts things by, like, what was it, rarity it put it onto. So like, oh yeah, I'll grab a blind rage. Didn't notice I grabbed the unranked one. My bad. We'll try that again. Without the changes there. I love it when computers decide to change things for me when I never asked it to. But hey. Right, no fancy jump this time, just... There we go, that's a little bit more like it. Heavy Gunner there did survive on half health. Scorpion over here is down to 1/3. This Heavy Gunner basically tickled. Interesting. Interesting. So, when it comes to Photon Strike, Photon Strike has a damage listed on it, and that is about the most useless damage stat one could come across, because I hope they have in the tips that it does a lot more than that. Photon Strike, Photon Strike, Photon Strike. Here we go, right at the very end, hidden behind the camera, so I'll read it out for you. Damage from both Mine Layer and Photon Strike scale with enemy level. And that's kind of a big deal. That is kind of a big deal. How does it scale with enemy level? Thankfully, the wiki had this information ready to go for us, and it states that the total explosion damage is the blast damage, the ability, multiplied by the result of your strength, multiplied by the passive damage bonus Vauban gets, if it would be applying to the situation, and then multiplied by the enemy level multiplier. The enemy level multiplier is basically their level divided by 10, rounded up. So if they're level 11, divide that by 10, you get 1.1, rounded up, it's 2. So for level 200 enemies, that is a nice lovely round of 20. Which means we are getting 20 times the damage stated on the ability here. 20 times the damage stated on it. And considering the damage stated here with Blind Rage is basically 5k, that's 100k damage included in that strike. It includes a blast proc, which then just takes that even further. I'll just say it ticks up on the first level after every 10th, so only 19 times. I'm sorry? Male Jade? Multiplier increases after level 1. Oh, right, is it? No. Okay. Yeah, the wiki contradicts itself. Excuse me. Wow, voice did not like that. The wiki contradicts itself. It says, on the one hand, enemy level multiplier is seen enemy level divided by 10, but then says multiplier only increases after level 1. Blah, blah, blah. No, yeah, that would mean at level 1 through 10, you've got 1 times damage. Level 11 to 19, you've got... 11 to 20, you've got 2 times damage. So, yeah, no. Yeah, Jade, I think you're misinterpreting that. And it ticks up on the first level after every time. It's only 19 times. Yeah, you're misinterpreting. 191 is equals to 200, sure, but that doesn't mean 191 goes down to 19 times. Ceiling, so brings it up, right? Because that's what a ceiling is. Math.seal always rounds up, yeah. Returns next highest integer, yeah. All other languages agree on that, yeah. You think this needs a spreadsheet? I think it just requires Mel J to tell me why they think it's not that. Yeah. Math.seal, yeah. When when it says seal, it means round up, yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Alex with another semi-essay. The main concern with it for me is that since its first tick of damage happens at 0 second, I can hit an enemy... Bro, okay. Need a little bit more punctuation here. Main concern with it for me is that since its first tick of damage happens at 0 second, pronoun game on its, 0 second respect to what time index, I can hit an enemy multiple times with normal melee attack, until I get a Tennokai, then hit it with a heavy, an electric proc from that heavy... Okay, we're on about the electric procs, that's where we're at. Now I know what the it is. Electric proc from that heavy previously would deal its damage the moment I land a hit, but now I imagine it would deal the damage wherever the next proc happens. You mean next tick of the initial proc, if that's your concern? Hope the writing makes sense. Alex, go check. We're looking at Vauban. I get that you've got this concern, this idea. So go check. Otherwise, it's down the priority list right now. You have this idea that you are imagining about. I'm not going to take the time away from Vauban to investigate an idea you're imagining about. Verify. And then I can look at what you verified, if indeed it needs me to look at it and not the bug report team. Best of luck with that. Joe, yeah, there may not be anything in the patch notes, but things can just change or go unnoticed. I think it was on Mag. Yeah, it was on Mag's ability, Null Star, where it was unnoticed for a very long time that she was actually providing 5% damage reduction per particle. And so that was just completely overlooked as a feature. I think for a couple of years. It do be wild like that. Okay, so back to this one then. Photon Strike, as I say, we're getting about 100,000 damage on an enemy which is level 200, is the idea here. So if I have a look at the enemies that it's spawning in then, if we just kill all and have a look at the full list there. According to the wiki, which thankfully has a nice built-in calculator for this kind of thing, a Steel Path level 100... Sorry, level 200 is what we're doing. Level 200 Butcher has an effective hit point of 80,483. So we can imagine the Butchers should get one shot each time. So if I just take out the Butchers here, everything else should be substantially tankier than a Butcher. Everything else here should beat a Butcher in survivability by more than 25%. Which means that every single one of these should survive this. So if that mathematics is true... Yeah, that look... Okay, he's gonna die. That doesn't count. But that mathematics does look rather true to me. Is corrosive projection gonna mess with the formula? Yes, it is. Not enough to matter. But you're very right to mention, yes, it does have an effect. But we'll notice that basically none of them came close to dying, unless they went out of bounds. None of them. If we do a quick head count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The one that died, 13. I'm missing one. Because I only took off 6 Butchers, right? 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The one that died, 13. Did another one fall off that I didn't notice? Hold on. 2 heavy gunners, 4 scorpions, 6 lancers, 2 bombards. Try that again. Hey-ya! Okay, 1 out of bounds over there. Again, but yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, dead. 11, 12. Aha, 13, 14, yeah. So yeah, we are accounting for them, and we can see no one's even close to dead there. So the reason that we had kills previously, we just clear that and re-summon a Grenadier battle group. When we now do this, 20 enemies here. Bam! And we see a whole lot of them have immediately perished. A whole lot of them immediately perished. And the difference here is very simple. It is the inclusion of Butchers. It is the inclusion of Butchers. So what makes this so much more devastating when the Butchers appear is because the Butchers do indeed get one-shot by that 100,000 damage. By being one-shot by the 100,000 damage, they then also explode with their blast proc. So let's clear out all of that. Let's okay, kill them, clear that. Let's grab us a Butcher, singular, and let's grab us a Xmas in the form of an Arid Heavy Gunner Xmas. That'll do just fine. Now, we do know that the initial hit is going to deal double damage to the Overguard here, but we should be able to distinguish between the two hits primarily by just having a look at the procs. Which one is procced, which one is not. Let's just hit a quick recording on this, because we're going to need to go back through this frame by frame. I hate that the damage visibly overlapped there, so that's going to be a little bit more work to unpack than I was looking forward to. But yeah, let's just sit on that for a moment. Let me grab those bits and pieces. We can have a look at what's going on. Thank you for following. Welcome in. Hello there, Minus Unit. Okay, let's just open up a random project. I just have a testing file for all of this lot. Loading up the file, and then I'll bring you guys in to see what we're having a look at here. There we are. Okay. It's the good old video editor, which always looks a little bit weird on stream. Don't know why, but it's fine. We're into the video editor. We just want to see the hit and the damage. There we go. So we do see that the two damage numbers over here, one is obscuring the other, but we can see about 199,000 in the background there. That is hitting the Overguard directly because we see it's got the blast proc on it. Hello there, Mirrorlave. Welcome on in. So about 200k damage, which considering we were starting with about 100k, getting doubled, that is working as expected on the Overguard. We have the similar blast hit over here on the Butcher. The Butcher just gets obliterated by the 77k damage that hits the health. They do not have 77k health. And that leads to this 191,092 damage against the Heavy Gunner. Now, I'm a little out of the loop exactly on how these blast procs come off of the, or how the blast proc calculation comes together here. So yeah, looking at that, if I divide this 191 blah 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 by the 77k over here, I get 2.47 times. And not cleanly that, it is 2.467932 blah 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 blah. I could have sworn blast procs were triple damage. This is a value reduced by armor, so if anything I was expecting the Overguarded hit to be even higher. I don't think we broke the Overguard. Let me just check that. Oh no, we did. Oh. Well, that could explain the number. Wow, it broke the Overguard. How much Overguard did I get? Heavy Gunner Xmas. Can I just get the Xmas value? Yeah. Heavy Gunner Xmas, level 200 Steel Path, has apparently 354,000 Overguard. Okay. Okay. That is a mild pain for test and demonstration purposes. Okay. In which case then, what I can do is I can split them up. Let's get rid of the existing one, spawn in the Butcher and Xmas, Butcher and Xmas. So now, given that I know the radius of the attack is like 7 meters now and I've got no range bonuses, if I drop the beacon here, it should hit him, and her, and him. Actually, it might not hit him, so I'll need to drop it here. Yeah, if I drop it there, it should hit all of these three, but it shouldn't reach this one. Whereas the explosion from this Butcher, I think should reach it. So let's try that. Looked like that worked perfectly. Looked like that worked absolutely perfectly. That you've lost a lot of your Overguard. Okay. That's good. Now that is good so far. Just clean out all the number concerns so we can then think about the rest. So the blast hits, and yeah, we do see then the Overguard is hit for nearly 300,000, and considering we hit the initial Butcher for nearly 100,000, that is what I was expecting then. Basically triple damage, ignoring the armor of the original Butcher target. Okay. Also a hefty amount of damage coming onto this one because that Butcher got obliterated, that Butcher got obliterated, so she took the original hit of 199k, a follow-up hit of 191k, going through the Overguard and into health, and then just 55k on health. Cool. Cool. So that's what it comes down to, really. Why the Butchers were leading to the annihilation, dare I say, of the group of enemies, is because each of the Butchers was turning into that 300,000, near enough, 300,000 damage nuke. on top of the damage that's already coming in at 100,000 from the Photon Strike. Blast has a range according to the wiki of 5 meters? Yeah, 5 meters. So it's just large enough to cross the gap here. Just large enough, because each one of these tiles is about 4 meters across. So if an enemy spawns there and there and there and there, half a tile, halfway between the edges of the tiles, they're 4 meters apart. So a 5 meter explosion covers from about there to about there, I'd say. Yeah. If I stand here, it looks like it's 6 meters, but if I crouch, see it's actually closer to 5, because it's measuring from the ground to my head. That's how we get that there. Belgian says, so just 2 enemies and 1 dying to it is a 4 times hit? Yeah. Because if you have a butcher and just another target, the other target takes the full damage from the ability, the butcher explodes, they take the full damage from the ability 3 times over again. If you've got 2 butchers in the area, anything caught in the butcher nuke will now be taking 6 times the ability damage, in addition to having taken the ability damage. It's basically 3 times extra damage for each enemy that dies to the strike. So that is the fundamental nature of blast procs, if nothing else. It does mean that the AoE on those blast procs is slightly smaller than the AoE of the actual blast itself. And if you've got enemies on different sides of your Photon Strike, then you could have a 5 meter AoE go off here, a 5 meter AoE go off over there, and someone in the center gets hit by neither of them. Which is going to be interesting, but yeah. Wouldn't this be even better with his 4 because of the armor strip? No, Clash Point. No, there's no way the armor strip would ever allow you to deal more damage. Yes. But that's not what we were checking. Okay. It does mean everything inside Bastion's going to get absolutely blasted. Inside of Bastille? No, because Bastille doesn't group. And Bastille is, if I recall, rather large. Yeah, radius of 10 meters at base there. When the radius of Photon Strike is 7 meters and the radius of a blast proc explosion is 5 meters. This is covering 4 times the area. So yeah. However, if you do use the vortex to bring them all in together, then yes. Yeah, that's gonna hurt.
Wow, 17 months, that's crazy.
Yo, Takatrophy, thank you very much for the 17 months of support here. Much appreciated. Thank you. I'm sure does fly. Okay, so, this is very much then, Photon Strike is very much going to be an ability that requires you to have already done the grouping to really get the value out of it. If it's not grouping, then enemies need to be naturally grouped, or again, you're just going to run into the issues of blast procs in general, which is, if no one dies initially, the blast procs are basically useless. This doesn't have the time or opportunity to scale your blast procs to hit the 10 proc point, so you need to be killing at least something with the ability. Without that, it ain't going to be it. So I'm going to have to do some math off stream, because we're not turning this into a spreadsheet stream, but I'm going to have to do some math off stream as to see where the various breakpoints are for many common enemies. To see how easily you can hit that one shot. Because as we saw with the Grenadier group, if we had a Butcher, yeah, absolutely. We hit it. If we hit everything except a Butcher, it doesn't do jack shit. It's alright, Clash Point. It's good to try and pick up the idea as to what's going on, rather than jump to bits then. It's fine. But yes, even if we were testing, would Armor Strip have more of an effect? You just think it through, it's all. But yeah, these enemies barely singed if we don't have a Butcher to blow them up with. That's the point. We need enemies that can die to it, and so that's where it comes into the realm of, okay, well, how much armor strip do we need? How much grouping do we need? where can we pull in the power from there? So if I take this same group of enemies, just clear out the old group, resummon a new lot. This time, let's vortex it. Now, that's not going to remove their armor itself. Hi, dude. Can you be within range, please? Well, a little bit further over. A little bit further. Little. There we go. Okay. Now let me just grab some more energy. So yeah, having them all bundled up without the armor strip is, I mean, it's bundling them, but I already know that's not going to be enough because mag procs aren't going to do jack shit for dealing with damage to armor. We add on a Bastille, though. That's going to sap their armor. We can see their armor just plummets. And so now, I need more energy because this is unmodded. Now, with the incapacitated bonus, the grouping, the armor strip, death. Just death. Which should be a surprise to no one, really. If you group up a bunch of enemies and remove their defenses and apply bonus damage due to your passive, death follows shortly after. A heavy gunner level 200, non-Xmas but on Seal Path, has 355,000 hit points. So if we hit the heavy gunner for 100k and then something next to it dies doing a blast of 300k, that's a dead heavy gunner. If I take a Elite Lancer, which was in that group there, again we go level 200, Steel Path non-Xmas, their health is 182,000. So even without armor, they don't get one shot that way. Scorpion the source of our one shot then? Yes. Potentially. No, well, maybe not. Okay. No, it's getting hard to say, to be honest. Scorpion level 200 Steel Path has health 176,000. We know bombards are tougher as well, so... Well, those are just their health stats. Hold up. Let's grab more energy mag so I don't have to keep on running back and forth all the time. Go. Yeah, so we've got our group of them. Let's scoop them all up. Let's armor strip them. Give it a moment for the armor strip to come into effect. There we go. Now that is very definitely instant. Nothing I have here at the moment is saying that should be lethal. No. Because that's not giving a bonus as it's magnetic, not electric. Armor stripped, this is having no effect. This is just energy max, so it is just that. Interesting. Okay. Never a fan of when math decides not to math. Let's find out what is going on here. Let's go through this enemy by enemy. Let's find out where my assumptions are incorrect. And then figure out how I ended up with the incorrect assumptions. So we can understand this better. So let's start with the Scorpion. The Scorpion I think is going to be the weakest bit. Wait. I put Elite Lancer into the wiki. This is a Lancer. They are different units. A Lancer shouldn't even show up. Because once you're at level 15 and above, it's just Elite Lancers. But a Lancer Steel Path has health of 121,545 And if it's incapacitated, I would expect its damage received to be 100,000 multiplied by the 1.25 from the passive for Vauban. That gives us our one-shot, that gives us our explosion, that gives us our room wipe. I see. Let's verify that's the case. If I spawn these in again, group them up, armor strip them, but then let the whole effect just run out and let them just stand up, what we should see, if I'm correct, is that we don't get the one-shot. There will be, however, the Lancers will die after the fact, because the blast proc on them should probably tick for lethal. But it won't lead to a total nuke of the group. Let's test that. Flurry. We'll do that. That'll do the armor strip. After a few seconds, it'll then go Scoopy Whoopy. Give it a moment. There we go, they're all scooped up. They're taking token amounts of damage there, but that shouldn't be anything relevant. Mag procs are not relevant to the damage here. We hit it with one of these. And yeah, we do hear the Lancers die from the blast proc ticking out. We're ignoring the whichever unit this is, a Scorpion that landed up there. But yeah, the Lancers died from the blast proc ticking for another 30%, but it didn't do the one-shot 300%, so that's the difference. For some reason, the Grenadier Battle Group uses a unit that they don't actually use after level 15. There we are then. And the difference in terms of effective hit points there is worth noting. The Lancer effective hit points, level 200 Steel Path, is 660k. Elite Lancer is 1.8 million. That's more than a small difference right there. The Lancer has 121k health to 182k on the Elite Lancer. So yeah, that will shake some bits up. How is this for armor stripping? It's just what it does. Bastille mode strips armor. I think it does it faster now, but it's always stripped it. Okay. So main takeaway so far is that the ability taking level 200 Steel Path is just our measuring point at the moment. Again, all the math will have to happen later. Taking the bits and pieces we have it at the moment, one-shotting small cluster of enemies without any procs to help out, like a viral proc, is gonna be inconsistent. That's my prediction for getting into action encounters. Now, if you double tap, you can get more value out of it, but it does also mean that the double tap is only going to lead to one blast AoE, because the first one didn't get a one-shot. Unless you hit them quick enough for both procs to still be there, then I think that should trigger. Yeah. Okay, Mirrorlade. Take care. Hope you're looking after yourself. Mel just say, are you still looking at EHP numbers instead of raw HP despite doing armor strip? No, I'm not, Meljade. I expressly stated when I was looking at health versus EHP or effective hit points. You're welcome to look at the wiki yourself and verify the details as I say them. We've got a good suggestion here from Moon. Can we do the same setup but using Elite Lancers instead? Yeah, we can absolutely do that. Let's kill off the old ones. And then take out the 6 Lancers, grab us Elite Lancers. There we go. Let's do the whole scoop them, strip them, wait for the armor to pop. There it goes. And yeah, we see they survive the first strike. Second strike is lethal, but the first strike they do survive. So it does add a whole extra step to that there. There are breakpoints involved. Dare I say, it almost seems like a semblance of balance. My god. We are looking at exactly one line of data at the moment. So if I just run through the same numbers, Elite Lancer, but at level 100 Steel Path, that means that the blast will be doing 50k from the Photon Strike. Their health will be 110k. If we take it to level 400, so now that the Photon Strike will be doing 200k, their health will be 300k. So what I'm seeing at the moment is that 200% strength isn't reliable enough. Even with full armor strip, you would need something else on top to really get those reliable cascades. Sure, you could go for like a viral proc companion or something like that, but it is something extra you would need to do. But we can give it more strength. We can indeed give it more strength to try and get over those hurdles. The lower the level of the enemy in Steel Path, the more difficult it is, ironically enough, because I believe the enemy health scaling is less than 1-to-1 with their level scaling. Much less. Let's have a look at the equation, properly quantify that, to be honest. Enemy health scaling. Grenier above level 80. Their health increases by... a value. Yeah, comparing that to level is not going to be too easy. I'll be honest with you. But if I have a look at the multiplier according to the graph, for a normal unit, level 100, it has a health multiplier in the range of around 110, but level 200 it's in the range of about 150. So the multiplier for Vauban would have doubled, but the health multiplier for those units wouldn't have doubled. And that should stay consistent then, yeah. So yeah, the higher the level of the enemies, above level 100, the easier the time you will have killing them. So long as you remove the armor first. Xmas are a little different, but not different enough. It should still be that higher level gets easier. And Joe is saying this is what I'm going with Photon Repeater, it's all of a 3x strength modifier. I'm taking it step by step, you're very right, there is another thing we can look at. I am taking it step by step as to breaking it down. Min-maxing requires you to understand what the min is to max it. But yeah, with Photon Strike here, let's just go over that for those who want to jump into that. If it hits at least 5 enemies, the next cast will cost no energy and fires 2 additional strikes. Which, yeah, brilliant. Triple the damage output, 0 energy cost, that's just an absolute win, right? And largely, yes, this is going to be a brilliant one if you're going for a Photon Strike setup. My only caveat on that comes down to the application of these additional strikes. Are you going to get those blast procs you're looking for? But seeing as they should all land... yeah, you get into an interesting circumstance there. If they land in such a way that the first one kills some enemies, those enemies will explode, you'll get the triple damage from that, but then strike 2 and 3 can't hit the now dead enemy, then it should hit others and it should lead to a cascade in itself. So yeah, I think it kind of solves its own problem because one way or the other the enemies should be dying. So yeah, Photon Repeater should probably be an amazing pickup, given the extra strikes there, on top of the blast proc, on top of you want to be focusing on some kind of grouping. Notably, in all that I've read so far, I don't think I saw a single mention as to fall off. Because I think there is none. Yeah, every number has been basically precise so far, so yeah, there is no damage fall off over radius. That is good. There's a big weak point for a lot of AoEs is that they end up being not enough after a sizable portion of their radius. That's not the case with Photon Strike. Okay. So we do something like that, and then we stretch it and reach it because double sets of range, but without consuming our strength. We do need the strength. Let's see, can we throw in some more strength here? I'll be happy with. 20 fortitude you can try and slip in there for even more power behind it. Let's see then. We'd probably want to fix that duration. Let's be real about it. And yes, I know stretch could be Archon stretch. We'll get to that later. Also, the Lucas, thank you very much for dropping your prime here. Much appreciated. Welcome into the channel proper and enjoy your lovely blue sub badge and all the other bits and pieces go along with that. Cheers. Just saying, blast proc math means I deal 900% AoE damage if an enemy died on the 3rd strike. I believe it should mean that, yes. But bearing in mind that's 900% of the base AoE, it would still be 300% of the damage that the others had received from the Photon Strike, because they had taken 300% in the first place. So it's still a quadrupling of the damage output by killing something with those blast procs. It's just not more than quadrupling, if you get my point. It's 900% of base added on. Okay, we're not going to be dealing with Toxin from this. We're not even going to think about that one. Slap that into there, and yeah, it's going to need formers and whatnot. I haven't done enough with Vauban previously, so it's all something to sort. But this gives us into the range of casting potential. So if we simulate these with those elite lancers and no butchers in here, we go scoop, strip, first shot, second shot. Because I didn't want to wait for the strip. Leaves one heck of a mess, and yeah, dead things are dead. Arcanes can come after. Oh, we've still got an effect going on them, so I suppose I can just go. Oh, is the photon repeater not instant? Okay. That's a little unexpected. Yeah, photon repeater is showing as available. One, two, three. Oh, okay. Genuinely wouldn't have expected that. If nothing else, it's slightly harder on the eyes, but... Curious. Yeah, I am using black energy color there as well. Okay. Interesting. Okay. It's still quick enough that it should be perfectly in line with any of the blast procs happening, but yeah. Thankfully for other players, you just see a faint explosion on the ground, not the beams or the flash. Well, that is nice, yes. That is definitely nice. Okay. So where do we take that from here? We can see that Photon Repeater is indeed doing its thing of hit multiple targets, you get multiple strikes. Multiple strikes we do see is leading to just overall damage potential. Even if I don't have them CC'd, we go flap. Okay, not having them CC'd, bad juju. Especially with the delay on the shots there. It'll knock some of them out of range. Now, Photon Repeater, do you repeat if I hit, like, 3 enemies? Okay, hitting 3 enemies multiple times over doesn't count as 5. That's fine. So yeah, definitely want to lock the enemies down before you try throwing those effects at them. That's cool. Do something like that, they group up a bit. I'm just gonna go flat. There's not enough of them here for us to have its effects, but there we go. Okay. Getting the overall picture. I am indeed getting the overall picture of what we can do with this. Let's slap a former onto here because it's gonna want it. And we got this depolarity here, which is gonna probably want to be some kind of tank for Vauban. We're not using heat procs. Arc and Vitality doesn't give us any better than just Vitality. Vauban's health and shield are identical. Armor, we do go into armor, so it is worth still considering a Vitality. because we do pick up a bunch of armor from Bastille. And then in terms of bits here, we've got the strength ones. If you want to spam out abilities, Arcane Power Ramp is not the one for you. Gain strength off of max health. We've not got a lot of max health. We don't need that. Need that. Ability strength modifiers also apply to max shields. But Vauban generates armor. That feels like a bit of a waste. It's like, yeah, sure, we get a bunch of shield, but then we're just missing out on a different defensive layer. And blank shield hit points don't really do a lot. It can be good, but you want to throw adaptation on top of that then. I suppose we could go for an adaptation shield-based build, but again, we're missing out on the armor potential. What else have we got that could be strength-wise otherwise? Enemy Frozen is irrelevant. Impetus is irrelevant. Arcane Power Ramp, no, we're not going to be using that. Bolt Augmented, great for an extra chunk of strength if you're going to go long play, but that's about that. And is Malt Vigor the only one I just don't have fully upgraded? I guess so, yeah. That's fine. So I don't know if a Strength Arcane would be the play there. Now, someone's suggesting Blessing. We can go Blessing, in which we'll end up with even more max health over time. That is an option. I don't know if it's really the greatest of options, but it is certainly an option there. If you find that tank is the weakest point, you can go for that side of things there. In terms of efficiency, there is only Arcane Impetus, very cool. We can go for while shields are active, gain ability duration, but at the same time we're kind of expecting shields to crack. Hence the health tank, so maybe not. Or you could just go for energy economy with something like Arcane Energize, to be honest. Concentration should be good. I was thinking about that. It requires you to recast within 3 seconds to get the ability bonus. So yeah, if you go for a Photon Strike into then a Bastille or Vortex, something like that, you're going to get your benefit there. Potentially. It is a nice chunk of duration. Very much a potentially there. Battery. So Arcane Battery will give us, from the bonus we get from Bastille, which is 1500 armor, this would give us then 450 max energy. But only if we have that active. Whilst we don't have that active, we'll be missing out on a chunk. From the base armor as well, that is 63 extra max energy. Which, yeah, base 288 energy. It's workable. Not amazing, but it is workable, although if we're running low efficiency it becomes a little bit more iffy until we get that first bit of armor going. And against in situations where you're not generating lots of armor, I don't know. Health conversion could get you there. Get you there, what, as in more armor? No. I feel like the arcanes are coming up as more of a flex, I'll be quite honest. You can go various different ways with them, while still trying to go into a Photon Strike, Photon Repeater approach. There is the other side of augments as well. You get Enduring Bastille, to make it where the Vortex just lasts and lasts and lasts. Yeah, Bastille will just last longer, then Vortex duration increased when you throw additional vortices into it, which is an option. And then there's Tesla Bang for the Tesla Nervous side of things, which we'll be getting to trying in a moment. But in terms of focusing on just the Photon Strike starting point, because this, I'll be honest, has been probably the weakest ability if you don't count the sub abilities of Mind Layer. This one's been the weakest ability of Vauban pre-retouch. So this is where my immediate focus goes of, okay, so what have they done with it? Those blast procs are certainly valuable, And the double damage to Overguard is, again, valuable, is welcome. Is it all enough? Let's take this into a high-density mission. Let's go with something like a survival, and just honestly give it an initial try. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to a... Yep, Panzerville Profiler, the Thagomizer here. Just we've got the viral source going out with it, and then let's focus on just a casting approach. Fair enough, Monarch. Let's see how this fares at the moment, with not too much of an investment into defenses, and see what we need on it. Because don't forget, Vauban is a crowd control frame, so that should be a big part of Vauban's defenses in general. Not to mention, death is a very good form of CC. Let's go for circulars. Let's make sure we're up on the higher end of the levels there. I did say that is technically easier for the damage on Photon Strike, but it also means we'll have more damage incoming and a more varied enemy palette.
Your weapons make music.
Also, these initial ones are going to be a little bit more frustrating. Bro, you took my gun. Fine, deal with the worst gun. And by worse, I mean worse for him. Anyway.
The Oregon Neural Sentry is attempting to purge you from this place. Stand by for life support.
So let's take the opportunity whilst we're invisible to get set up somewhere. Get that running, and yeah, I mean, we can see the damage hits. If we just go with an empty group of them... Oh, no, the Vortex is stealing my balls. What if I don't do any buffing or setup? Does that just slap? Okay. Probably not something you want to rely on, but like, it's shooting.
Tenno, if you have a necronac.
The reason I say you don't want to rely on it is that. If you're not using crowd control, you're asking to perish. There we go. Right then. And we're getting a fair amount of damage just from good old Flechette orbs. Ah, sake. Yeah, Vortex stealing the throws. Okay. Not much of a blab there. Okay, try that again. There we go. We see that land very nicely. Rebuilding the armor again because I let it run out. Yeah, the Bastille armor bonus does not last very long if you're outside of Bastille. I've got a load of duration bonus, that is not long at all. Oh, I looked at chat for too long. Lost hit points. That little curiosity question will just have to wait a moment. Now, we've not got maximum range on this, but we have got a pretty substantial amount of range, and we look mathematically that we don't really want to be dropping the strength on Photon Strike, because it very rapidly loses its ability to actually cascade. And that is a big part of the value, is the cascade. There's a bunch of potential weaknesses in here. I'm wondering how we can address those, if it's a gameplay address, if it's a modding address, situational address. waiting for the enemies to come in range of Bastille or Vortex isn't ideal in my book. Nope, my armor dropped again. There we go. Yeah, definitely want to be sitting on this armor. Okay. We're getting a good approach going here. Wow, yeah, let's just yeet the out of you guys. Can we use the Mercy? Much better. How do the Sentients handle this? How does Malice handle this? I'm gonna drop some of these. Do these affect Malice in a useful way? I'm gonna say no. I mean, they're getting damage in, but just damage. Oh, shit. He teleported behind me.
You hold out to keep your eye in search, but you need to leave. Extraction is ready.
Please perish, please perish, please perish.
Drawn to this cursed place of stolen
Oh my god,
lives.
die. Thank you.
They will drain your life support unless they are destroyed.
Alright then, those dealt with. Yeah, can't say I'm particularly happy with the feel of it so far. But that's not changed too much for me since original War. The damage has definitely increased. I could feel the increased damage potential. Dodging all of this is a thing. I think that didn't hit enough for a triple strike. Yeah, there we go. When you can get a good group of them, it works. I mean, that's kind of a given. Ah. I don't like having to sit in such a small area. Black energy has not worked out for me here because I can't see the area. That's just my own fault for picking that energy color, I suppose. Yeah, not having any innate healing on Vauban, I am certainly feeling it. Okay. I'm getting an overall handle, or hang on how it handles. So let's get out of the mission, and let's start refining the setup now. We've seen the numbers at work. We've seen the damage output can be there, but we've seen also weaknesses of the defenses. So let's try and min and max this properly. Yeah, the damage is there. The damage is definitely there. It takes a little bit of setup to get the damage, but we do get that. Ellie's saying, considering how much he has to cast for this style build, Bolt Reconstruct might be a viable option. Maybe? We're not spending energy on the Photon Strikes, at least we're trying not to. But you're very right on the other abilities we're utilizing. There is room for energy to health there. Arcane Grace I don't think I would be as happy with, just because of the activation condition being a 9% chance. As much as we are able to tank hits there, we don't really want to keep tanking too many hits to rely on that activating for us. I'm not sure that one would be the way. Ellie's suggestion of Reconstruct is genuinely interesting, though. Because, yeah, you get 6 health per energy spent. And that's a bunch. That is a bunch, yeah. It's basically a full heal every time we cast basically any ability for a reasonable amount of energy. Because, yeah, if we cast Photon Strike without getting the Photon Repeater benefit, 77.5 energy, multiply that by 6. That's 465 health there. More than half our maximum health. Yeah, something like that can work out nicely. What about Arcane Circumvent? Okay, let's see. Circumvent. Roll through enemies to steal defenses. Okay, so this is an arcane I've yet to get the hang of. I don't really do roll through enemies as a general thing in the first place. So it's not one I've got the hang of as yet. Clash Point does not speak for me. Yeah. It's just one I've not utilized enough to really get a good feel for it. I'll be honest, 15-second duration on it leaves me a bit... Seems a bit counterintuitive with Bastille. That I do agree on, yes. If going for a healing sustain, would the build need adaptation? So that's the whole point of what just happened, was to see how well it tanked without further investment into things like adaptation. We got the extra health there from Vitality, partly because there was a depolarity to work with, and partly because, quite frankly, you usually want a bit more health buffer than 370. And we were relying on that. There were multiple times there where my health went down below that 50% mark. But if we can avoid spending a mod slot on adaptation, the better. Fair enough, Ellie. So, yeah. Arcane Circumvent, it kind of fits into the same kind of category as shield gating, of a very distinct mechanic from one to another, applying a form of defense that is not so tangible, even as shield gating, but certainly has value that cannot be ignored. It's a weird one. Clash Point, what you did wrong is you answered for me, and the couching you're putting, if I recall correctly on it, isn't sufficient. If I don't like something, I have the ability to say it. So when you answered almost immediately before I even had time to formulate my own answer, of course I have to then call out that what you were saying is wrong. So yeah, you did do something wrong by speaking for me. Glad we understand. Cool. Alright, so, with Bolt Reconstruct, honestly, in itself, that should cover a fair chunk of just the defensive portion here. We're already at 175% range. Getting more range onto this is difficult, because our next and remaining options are Cunning, Drift, and Overextended. I haven't dabbled so far into Tesla Nervos, but I feel like there is risk of that stunning enemies outside of my kill zone, which is a problem. So yeah. And given that Vauban kind of wants to hold an area, what I'm seeing is Vauban wants to really hard camp if we're going for this approach. On that note, did they put onto here how many Bastilles he can have? I forget. And they didn't put it on the ability card. I don't think it says. Well, that's great. Okay. Is it 4? Alright, it's 4 Bastilles now. That's something that should be on a mod card. Or the very minimum in the tips, but it really should be on a mod card, that kind of thing. But hey. Beer saying, what the mostly free cast of Photon Strike from the Orban to make Reconstruct very unreliable. So that's part of what we intend to test. I'm looking at this to see if there's any other changes I want to make at the moment before going in, but we were spending a not insignificant amount of energy, in part because we're still casting Bastille. With this setup here, it only has a duration of 19 seconds. If I'm setting up even 4 of those, that's one of those every 5 seconds. That would give Molt Reconstruct just from Bastille alone. Let's see here, 155 times 6, 5 by 5. That's 186 health per second. That's a lot of health per second. So we can try with that. Does Vauban 4 have LOS checks now? Not sure, not something I've tested today. So yeah, Reconstruct, honestly, I think it could bridge the gap there, because otherwise we do want to be using that control. Keeping all of these elements up at once is potentially going to prove problematic, but we'll see. Oh, for fuck's sake, I'm going to repeat myself. This costs energy, Monarch. As does this, as does this. I am aware that Photon Repeater takes off the energy cost of this. I'm aware of it. Aware of it. Fully. I put it in there knowing that. But it's not the only thing you use. It's not shield gating. You don't die if you cast a 0 energy ability. Alright then, let's continue. Just a couple changes, little bits at a time. See what results we get. These guys are before anything can really get started, so we'll just shoot them dead.
Let go other month for a nice streamer.
Yo, Samolson, thank you very much for the 16 months there. Much appreciated. Cheers. Cheers indeed. You keep forgetting Vauban has any synergy with health tanking. I mean, he produces 1500 armor, yeah. Isn't Vauban immortal since his 4 is uncapped now? No, Vauban can die. Next question. Okay, now this initial starting point, my starting energy is not great here. There we go. Okay, good. We got a little bit more energy to work with now. Not a lot, but a little bit more. So let's control the area to reduce the amount of incoming damage. Heals us in the process. We're good. That's one of those over there, one of those over here. We should have a hard control on a large area now. I didn't want that there, but close enough. Oh, for goodness sake, this is not throwing where I expected to throw. I once again find myself wishing I had in-universe timers. So for those of you who don't know what I mean about that, think like Protea's turrets. You cast them, they have a big old timer on them, you can see exactly what they're doing. Whereas right now, what's the duration on this Bastille over here? What's the duration on... Oh shit, my energy's out. Uh-oh. Yeah, how long do each of these Bastilles have after I cast them? You can't see it in UI. And so you just have to kind of feel it. Okay. Troll that. Troll that. Where the hits land, we are doing well. But I need to stop walking on that fire, I think. Yeah, I really need to stop walking on that fire. That's not healthy for me. It just covers such a large area. I will say though, the health does seem to be doing a lot better with just that one arcane for it. I've done nothing else to improve our tank. Just the bot reconstruct. Wow, that was a lot of enemies just kind of stuck in one spot, perishing due to being technically out of bounds. Keep for the energy. In any lower enemy density, I feel like I've run out of energy too many times over now. So that is a concern. Using the low efficiency is indeed inefficient. Hi Malice, you are here to ruin my day! But your armor is removed, so that's good. Now please come over here and die. Nope. Instead of dying, he is alive and I'm out of energy again. Ah! Not like this! Oh my god, Malice, can you please be in range? Thank you. There we go. Yeah, I do find myself running into issues of trying to get enemies in the right grouping if I'm using Bastille. Because I want Bastille for the extra damage, but then I find myself running into issues of just the enemies are in the wrong spot. What if I focus more on the vortexes? Screw the armor strip and just... Screw the armor strip and just focus on grouping to make it easier to place the shots. Okay, don't knock me down. Fuck. There we go. Okay. Grouping spot. Grouping spot. Loot. Hi, please join the group. Thank you. Okay, it stole it over there, but that's fine. Standing on the heat again. God damn it. Do I have a cold weapon to get rid of that? But this is now not giving me armor, so I need the Bastille for armor. Okay, so no, that's not. I don't have a good option here. I feel like I am trying to do too many things at once. Because if I Bastille for armor, the enemies are held at a distance. If I Vortex, the enemies are grouped, but I don't get the armor. If I do both, I'm spending twice as much energy. I perish, because I run out of energy. What is the answer to that? Resolve this Nautilus Assaulted. I feel like a grouping tool that isn't Vauban is just kind of dunking on Vauban's entire design. Yeah, if Vauban can't group enough, something's gone wrong. Surely. And that something is most likely us playing it wrong. Oops. Mania incoming. Mania nearly obliterated just by the turbo nuke of dying enemies next to Mania. So that was nice. Okay. I feel like it's holding together, but it ain't great. So I do need to do more on this. This is certainly a build that is not going to work with low investment. Or certainly not an approach that works low investment. I once again cast too many vortices and not enough Bastille, so I have no armor. God, the armor just being a tiny little UI icon that vanishes after 12 seconds is, lot to manage at once. Been in here long enough, feeling still various weaknesses. Let's go back to the arsenal and reconsider.
And Corpus came
Ah,
here in
solid.
search of treasure, but
There we
only
go.
found
Okay.
oblivion.
Right. Let's have a look at everyone trying to tell me things on that, because that was hard to focus on anything more than the game.
I fear we are seeing the consequences of that risk now.
Hmm.
Destroy these void-stained enemies.
Alright, so, skipping past people replying to other people. Take the UI clutter happily if I can get past waypoints. Yeah. So I'm wondering if 3 will be worth using. That's why we're here. Keep wondering. Is there a particular reason not using the buff to damage from the 2? Is it only a weapon damage buff? I'll be honest, does it look like we really need more damage at the moment? Is damage our weak spot? Aside from just using the 2 for damage, which is not the approach of the setup. That's Resurgence. Have a look at what Resurgence says. Those are just replies and replies and replies. Okay. Dookie is saying at the moment we're not really using any of the energy sustain tools beyond Peter, such as Purple Shards or Archon Stretch. Archon Stretch, we're not using any source of electric at the moment, so it wouldn't work. That would only happen if we brought in our 1, which we can certainly add to rotation, but we need to make sure that shakes out correctly there. It also takes more forming, which we hadn't done so far on Vauban. You're right, we can look into those. Purple Shards is an equilibrium effect, we can look into that as well. Is still yet more investment to make it work. From Lord, if Blind Rage is removed and instead Umbral Intensify, will the damage suffer a lot? Yes. That's about my influence. I think that was a reply to someone. It just wasn't a reply. Zon suggesting we change equilibrium, or add equilibrium, before changing something else. Sure. Yeah, okay, cool. How many statuses does Vauban proc natively to go with impetus? Not enough for that, I would say. I mean, you could go for the impetus approach. You get electric potentially from Tesla Nervos, slash and puncture supposedly from Tether Flechette Orb, assuming they both proc status. I've seen the puncture plenty. I don't know about the slash. Photon Strike can give you blast, and Bastille can give you magnetic on the vortex. So you're up to 5 there, up to. And that is a total of 15% efficiency at best. And 30% strength, but 15% efficiency. Not sure that's really going to go the right direction. Sure, once you got all 5 up, you can keep it going with just any source of status procs, but again, it's just not big numbers there. Yeah. I don't. Does Flechette do anything other than puncture on the shot? I thought it was totally puncture, and the slash was the new grab. Yeah. Well, Aegis redirection. So that's an entirely different build. That's going fuck armor with shield tanking now. Not impossible, but completely different build. Okay. Without going into Archon shards, because that starts to become a very invested setup, what wiggle room do we have here? We want strength so that Photon Strike can actually deal enough damage to hit those consistent kill points. If enemies aren't dying, we're not getting the blast explosion into a cascade, and it's pointless. We need enemies to frequently die. So Blind Rage is a very big part of that. 99% is ability strength. It's not something you can just kind of toss away again. Our next best option, if we were to get rid of it, it wouldn't be Precision because that's Bastille being affected. We need Photon Strike affected. So it would have to be Umbral Intensify. Archon Intensify would not be triggered by any of this, so yeah. Which means we'd lose 55 percentage points. That's a chunk of the damage to lose. We basically lose 20% of our overall damage if we dropped Blind Rage for Umbral Intensify. Not sure I want to go with that. Arcane Persistence is not the way here. Absolutely not. We're not going to be regularly at enough armor for it to be valuable enough to us. It's not going to reduce the amount of damage incoming to a low enough amount per second to be useful. It's going to take up an arcane slot, and we lose our shield and shield gator, which means Augur Reach loses half its power. That's just not it. That is not it in the slightest. Ellie's saying Umbral Intensify and Transient Fortitude is only giving the same as Blind Rage. I mean, we've also already got Transient Fortitude on here, so it's not like we can even combine the two to make up for Blind Rage. It's already combined with Blind Rage. So yeah, that's not a go on us there. Yeah, the main thing on Blind Rage is that it's giving us that massive inefficiency on our casting. And the only real fix I'm seeing for that is to lean into even more energy support options. Or otherwise we start leaning into Archon Shards. It feels rough to me if a build requires Archon Shards to reach a comfortable level of effectiveness. Yeah. If you focus hard on energy economy, going Nourish, going a Health Orb generating companion, going with Equilibrium, go hard into that side of things, sure. Taking this setup here, we would need to take out Prime Flow most likely to be able to put in Equilibrium. Or we're going to go with Archon Shards of the purple variety, which is the same as taking this out and going for blue shards for the energy max. Either which way, that's an Archon Shard level approach to be able to maintain what we're doing. Because if we do Equilibrium over Prime Flow without making up for the lack of Prime Flow, we have 225 max energy. That is... I don't think that's enough to cast these two abilities one after the other. No, it isn't. Yeah. I'm not ignoring Archon Shards exist. I am looking at how far we can get before we need to rely on them. Because again, not everyone has infinite Archon Shards for every build. How many of y'all will see a build that someone suggests, you look and you go, wow, okay, that's a lot. I'm seeing yet more talk about persistence. For starters, if you're trying to force persistence in the modding screen, you're doing it wrong. Vauban generates 1,500 armor from Bastille. If you aren't getting the 1,500 armor from Bastille, persistence isn't going to keep you alive. Because you've now failed a fundamental part of health tanking, which is generate your motherfucking armor. Yeah. We're running Vitality. It's part of max health, because without a lot of buffer there, you can just evaporate. A lot of things do a lot of damage. Our biggest flexes honestly come down to going, okay, what if we just halve our health and hope for the best? Which doesn't feel great, I'll be quite honest with you. It also means with Molt Reconstruct, we would be over-healing, which is a little bit wasteful, to be quite honest. We could drop Blind Rage and try and do a approach like that. We gain a hell of a lot of efficiency, granted. I'm just not sure that the loss of damage is going to be what we want. Excuse me. Because as we saw in original calculations, 200% strength isn't enough to one-shot a elite Lancer, even if it's been armor stripped. Now granted, with viral procs on field, which Thangomizer is supposed to be doing, it should be in one-shots territory, so it should be able to shake out there. Begs the question, I've only looked at the Grenier units, what about a... what's it called? A corrupted... not Lancer, Crewman, corrupted Crewman, those corpusy ones going around. Let's have a look here. 200, Steel Path, Effective Tote, health, so shields 32k, health 50k. That's lower than I thought it was. That is lower than I thought it was. So they would be... yeah, they would be one shot. No shield gate for them. Okay. No shield gating already? We're not shield gating. The presence of Augur Reach is not a shield gate. Is max range necessary on Vauban? Considering max range would also require us to go with overextended, which would take out another chunk of our strength, and then we'd want Cunning Drift? I'm going to say no. I'm saying, augmented instead of reconstructing this setup. Okay, I'm hoping you're replying to someone else and not telling me to take away my only source of reliable healing. If you're trying to health tank, you're already running Umbral mods. I mean, I am now, but not for that reason. It is possible to health tank in different ways. And Vauban is not really a good use of an Umbral set, I'll be honest. Expensive to fit in the first place, and not getting a lot out of it. Yeah. They say without Blood Rage, the healing drops off in Reconstruct. It does, but with still 600 health on cast of Bastille, is it not? Yeah. It's still 600 health off of that. And off of Photon Strike, it's half as much whenever it triggers. Before we trigger the, oh, Photon Repeater is free, people. When it triggers, it's still 300 healing. Health tanking without persistence is tough in the current sandbox, man. Wow. Okay, I can see you've joined the channel recently. I've done a lot of playing with health tanking. I am basically the Lavos main for how many people I turned into Lavos mains. I can assure you, health tanking has certainly existed before Arcane Persistence. Certainly. If you need further evidence of that, though, you can just rewind this stream and have a look as to how I was literally health tanking with Vauban without even adaptation. Yes, he went down a couple times. Not got turbo fucked every 5 seconds. If health tanking wasn't even remotely viable without huge investment or Arcane Persistence, that just wouldn't have been possible. Don't believe the propaganda that some people put out, be it on Reddit, be it on Discord, be it on Twitter, for God's sake. It turns out you can actually tank with health hit points in this game. It's just a different approach, and you have to play it differently. Just say I mostly found the issue with health tanking is noticing when you're collecting toxin procs. Nope. You may have had a personal experience of that issue, but toxin procs are an issue for shield tank, not health tank. Health tank can handle toxin just like any other damage type. If anything, heat procs are more dangerous than toxin procs. A 100 damage toxin proc and a 100 damage heat proc on a health tank, the heat proc deals more damage, because it removes your armor as well. Okay, Zivili. Or Zivili, or however I'm supposed to pronounce that one, I'll be honest. You're coming in with... You always hated shield gating, fair enough. Now you try and put yourself in camp armor tank, or camp invisibility, not sure at this point. That being said, I quote, persistence is an enormous boon to health tanking if you can make the build. Sure. Ignoring the downsides of it, it can indeed be a boon to very high level health tanking, yes. If you're going for a budget build, it's a different story. That is slanderous. That is actually like the only options are persistence is great. If you're skipping it, you're trying to be budget. Different. Those are entirely different things. And considering that your initial approach was health tanking without persistence is tough in the current sandbox, no. I again implore that you revisit your perspective on health tanking. If you only see non-persistence as a budget approach. Okay, let's see then. Honestly, what? Umbral Intensified, replacing that... Oh yeah, replacing this with Umbral Vitality by moving the Depolarity up onto there. Yep, that is indeed an option we can utilize. I would love to utilize my Omniformer, but DE+. Why? What is the problem here? But yeah, you're right. I could move the Depolarity out and then use the 12, 16 total, try and find the amount somewhere. Because by moving the polarity out, I'll be at -1. And then switching over to the Umbral one, which is 4 more, I'll be at -5. So all I need to do is find another 5. Yeah. Right now, Reaper, I'm not feeling about it. Let's just say that. Yeah. In terms of effectiveness, what would that give us? Drop those. And that to force that on. What do we get there? So we get 30% more health, 11% more strength. Yeah, it is better, but it's not something I'm going to invest into right now. Okay, stretch and reach back on. So the one change we made so far is to switch from Blind Rage to Umbral Intensify. We can see if the damage is still enough. I don't know if it's going to be in most cases, or in enough cases, but we can certainly give it a try. Yeah. Has invisibility been considered? No, because it's not health tanking. If we're running invisibility, what's the point of even considering that the armor bonus on Bastille exists? I'm trying to use Vauban, as Vauban presents Vauban's abilities. If we start using everything that is not Vauban, like Sighted for grouping, or Shade for invisibility, at that point, Vauban is lost. That's my take on it. A Warframe shouldn't require us to use that many out-of-frame tools for its own job, just to make it work. And that's a personal take, I know. Not everyone will agree with that. But it is my take on it. Man, the Vortex stealing photon strikes always feels weird. Like, if it lands close to it, I get it. When I'm throwing it 10 meters away from it, it lands there. I threw it here. Oh, bollocks. Didn't have a Bastille set up. I was too busy showing a thing not working the way I wanted it to. Okay, can we set down the Bastille? There we go. Bastille, got my armor build up going. When there's a vortex here and guys are grabbed over there, I can't hit them with the photon strike. It's hitting over here. Hit them! I'm fighting against it.
Tenno, if you have a Warframe, this would be an excellent place to deploy it.
Re-up the Bastille because the enemies are not rolling in quick enough. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I think this is ultimately gonna be a flawed goal. As much as I am stabilizing more and more, I am jumping through hoops just to try and get there. I do think it is a flawed goal. I can add in other abilities on a whim. I don't think it is the approach I was hoping they were trying to make happen. Is the cast speed faster on the ground? Honestly, not something I'd even considered testing so far. Oh, it stole it again. Hit them. Oh, there goes my companion. And the companion's back. rescue my armor. Where have all the enemies gone? Oh wait, Companion is not back. That's why it looks so weird. Companion is reviving. I forgot that. It shows it's... I wasn't in armor for long enough. Yeah. Companion shows as having hit points even when it's in its invulnerable form. I forgot. Now I can see where all the enemies are. Alright, we got violence incoming. This should kill me. Oh, too close. So we're seeing that these blast procs are short enough range that it is a struggle for me to get violence in range of them. There we go. There we go. Finally got violence in range of the guys that were dying. Because it's not the damage of the ability that kills high tank targets, it's everything dying around them that kills them. Keep up Pharaoh's bits. Enemies draining life support. Let's see if I can get you towards a cluster. That's good enough.
I fear we are seeing the consequences of that risk now.
I'm just gonna shoot it. Never mind, can't just shoot it. Jade Xmas has something to say about that. There we go. Definitely not a full heal on ability cast here. I mean, it wasn't previously, but at least if you're talking about Photon Strike. And on the 4, if we're below 100 health, then sure. It's not a full heal then, but if we're also below 100 health, things have gone really bad. Oh, that got me. It's kind of like how preparation, the mod, works. You don't want to fully rank preparation, because at no point do you need 100% starting energy, as you always start with some starting energy in the first place that the mod is adding to. You don't need to hit 100% on healing, you don't need to hit 100% on starting energy, because if you're at 0, something's already gone much worse. Overall, I think this is handling this mission. It's not great at it, but it is handling it. Using a Photon Strike approach. This wouldn't have been possible before. Photon Strike just didn't have this blast reliability to it. So that is an improvement. But the health tank side of it, trying to use that armor bonus that they've also increased, I'm struggling to make that bit work out. Just because mostly I feel like I'm constantly leaving all the zones and Vauban doesn't have innate healing available to him. How much armor is it again? We're gaining 1500 from the ability, We have an innate 210, I want to say. So 1710 total, which is a healthy amount. To say this is also a heavy crowd control frame. If I stay mobile, keep on recasting zones wherever I need to cover next. Hard focus to casting on everything I need to target. I can just about bring it together. Life support is dropping here, which is just an unfortunate reality. I am getting about 100 kills per minute. It's just I'm a little bit too low on it. It needs just a little more in this mission. Alright, we got a Misery incoming. Let's see if I can force spawn Misery next to this lot. I think okay, I did get a bunch of damage on them, so I didn't mistime it. It just wasn't enough. That time, don't know why Misery didn't get hurt. And now Misery's just staying all the way over there for some reason. There we go. That killed Misery. With intent. So it was a little difficult trying to guide the Acolyte into their doom. I need some more units over here.
They aren't from the neural sentry. Destroy them. They are drawing from your life support.
There we go. Where did they go? Oh god. Somewhere in there, the guys I was trying to hit. That was a visual mess. There we go. Okay. We've been here over 10 minutes. We can see the general use of it. It has maintained when I'm not taking my focus off it, but it's still a very high focus approach. The damage thankfully did maintain there, so despite my concerns around the 200% threshold, because there are those number of weaker enemies, in combination with the viral we've got from Vagabaizer, it has worked out on the damage side, so that is good. That is good.
What you have learned here will serve you well.
So, to those of you saying, what about adaptation, what about arcane blessing, what about? What are we changing out for that? What are we changing out to make that idea happen? We don't want to lose duration. That would be bad. We don't want to lose energy max. That would be bad. Having only a couple hundred energy means you haven't got a lot of room for casting. Photon Repeater is giving us that triple hit and is an energy economy part, so we can't get rid of that. We want our range for the blast radius on this, for the grab radius on this, so we can't get rid of that. We could drop Vitality to halve our maximum hit points and slap Adaptation into there, but that means then for things where Adaptation hasn't been stacked up against a damage type or isn't it's not ready for it, we'd be weaker to it. Not a big fan of that. We can't drop this because strength. We can't drop this because strength. So the best thing we can drop here for adaptation is a different part of our tank, which is not a great one. Energize for blessing and vitality for adaptation. Okay, so again, drop our tank for the hope that adaptation tank can kick in long enough. Dropping energize for blessing. Energize is a big part of our energy economy in this. Like, a very, very big part of our energy economy in this. Yeah. Yeah. What about the companion? I think you mean companion. I mean, you can use various companions in various ways. We've currently got Thagomizer in there to provide us with easy access viral procs. Yeah. It felt like I had a lot of energy. It felt like I had a lot of energy because I have Arcane Energize. Arcane Energize is a massive, massive increase to your energy income. Certainly when you've got no other sources of energy income being applied. We take out Arcane Energize, that energy income drops through the floor. And this is entirely a setup where the moment you run out of energy, things get very bad very fast. Maybe with the kill rate, Energy Generator Companion would let you skip on Energize. Energy Generator Companion, are you meaning quite literally to go with Death Cube or something else? Why not Archon Stretch? Where did I proc Electric at any point during that mission, E-Rock? So, like, yes, I could put Tesla Nervos into there to get the 2 energy per second out of that. It's not going to be a lot of energy income, but yeah, we could squeeze that in there in the end. But I wasn't really using that ability. Yeah, what is Energize selling for these days? Sure, why not? It should have come right the way down. What is a max rank of it these days? Max rank Arcane Energize. Oh my god. You can pick one up for 68 platinum? 68? Oh my word. Oh. Wow. I'm seeing sellers for 68, 69, 70, 80, 80, 80, 80, 90, 90. No, plenty of sellers below 100, and that's the ones currently online in-game. If you go for individual arcanes, I'm seeing as low as 3 platinum, but more likely 5 platinum. So if you have a bunch of energizers, you can top up the rest with by piecemeal there as well. Yeah. Woo! They did Energize so dirty? Did they do it dirty, or did they make it where people could actually use it? Because I remember when Energize, a maxed out one, was over 2,000 platinum. And that was disgusting. The sheer prices of some of the arcanes back then, it's just like, cool, yeah, this is incredible for energy economy. You can't have it. I'm fine with it being that much cheaper, honestly. Genuinely fine with it. Yeah. Okay, so let's put a pause on trying to use Vauban as Vauban properly here. Let's investigate one of the suggestions as a complete alternative that people are making. Let's just put a note on what is wherever, hold, photon health. So this is going to be photon invis. How does Vauban play if we just give up on the idea of that kind of approach? We can throw in Rolling Guard for just a general safety point. Much of the rest of this can be maintained as is. We don't really need to make changes there. That's our energy economy. What can we slap into you? What indeed? I'm gonna go for Invis. Crepuscula does seem like an idea, doesn't it? Yeah. We wouldn't get the final critical damage bonus because that just doesn't apply to us, but 30% ability strength is nice. How do we get Invis? Yeah, from a companion. Augmented is also a shout as well. I'm just wondering if there's anything that's not just, hey, more strength, because as we saw earlier, we were still already hitting kill points. Although, if we're running for Invis, we won't have the viral procs. And for that reason, Crepuscula now wins. Okay. Let's try that. Let's swap you out for Shade. Where is Shade? There you are. Doing all the good stuff for us? Probably. Duplex Bond as well, just to be even funnier with it. Why not? The main thing is Ghost. Am I trying to come up with a build with no subsumes? I'm more focusing on the frame itself at first. This is something that comes up a lot, is that people are very quick to jump to, oh, but you could use this subsume, you could use this companion, you could use these 27 Archon shards at the same time somehow. And if you do all of those things whilst also using Spectres and Operator and somehow inviting 5 friends into your squad, then everything is easy. And I get that. But this might come as a surprise. This might genuinely come as a surprise to people. I want the Warframe to be good as itself. D have just retouched this frame. They've just buffed up Vauban's stats. The last thing I want to do with a retouched Warframe is immediately just start ripping pieces out of it, or trying to bring in external tools to do what the frame itself is already trying to do. So, grouping abilities from companions, when this is a frame that has 2 grouping abilities, relying on sources of survivability that aren't the single bit of survivability that is built into this frame, things like that. It's like, if we're jumping straight to those options, what happened to retouching the frame? This is also why I'm focusing on Photon Strike first, because historically, Tesla Nervous was okay, Flechette Orb was great, and Vortex was Vortex. Nothing has changed in that regard. Photon Strike was the ability that sucked. And so that's why I'm starting there, is, okay, have they actually made it worthwhile? And as we've seen from the damage so far, yes. So now what about the rest of the kit in unison with that? And that one Archon Shard, by the way, is extra ability damage on enemies affected by Electroproc, which I had plugged in there, probably from testing something about Tesla Nervos in the past. Yeah. Okay, so with these only couple of changes, and with Shade there onto it, and we've taken off the health tank basically entirely, what result happens now? What happens now? I really don't like that blinding start. Now this bit we're going to have to just shoot them dead. There we go. From here out, we should be able to shade our way through. I'm actually going to do that for once at the start.
The Orican Neural Sentry is attempting to
A little bit of invis from that is actually going to be a problem for our shade invis, but we'll get around it. Good opener. Yeah, we're visible for a moment here, and it should any second now. There we go. Okay. Huh. Line of sight. Okay. Now, there are going to be stray shots I have to worry about because my companion does have duplex bond on it, which is also another source of energy income, so yeah. We can see immediately that my defense requirement has dropped from oh god, oh god, oh god to this. Yeah. I can now just kind of walk through them, which feels a little counterintuitive. You'd think they'd figure out something about the invisible orbs of doom, but yeah. It means that Bastille is now basically pointless to me. I don't know that defeats the whole purpose. Big Bomba. Very effective Big Bomba. Ah, that's a Shock Xmas. Shock Xmas do not care about invisibility. Bastards that they are. How are you alive? You were right next to all of them. There we go, now he's dead. Hold on, let's do a little bit of grouping here. Let's just about get them as they come through the doorway. Fair enough.
We Perrin always collect our debts.
Apparently I pissed off the parent sequence. This should be good. Yep. Great Death Squad. They really understand dealing with invisible enemies. Yeah, for those of you wondering where all the bright light is coming from, I don't know either. I am running with black energy here. This is a black energy Vauban. Oh. I realize I'm getting some extra viral and heat on targets thanks to the duplex bond. No doubt having some useful effect there, because that'll make it where at least a single target is much more vulnerable to being one-shot, and that triggers the blast cascade I was on about at the start of stream. Oh, hi Violence! You might be a problem. Let's see if enough enemies gather up. We hit that. Does it kill him? Not quite. And now I'm visible. Okay, Violence is dead. I should be invisible in just a moment. There it is. We have survived Violence with an invisible Photon Strike Vauban. Back to, Blapination, I suppose. Yeah, I think this is kind of proven, to me at least, exactly my concerns with trying that health tank approach. For all of the effort I was putting in, I have so much more freedom of movement here because I'm not constantly having to worry about Bastilles. I'm not spending 100 energy per zone to maintain that armor. Instead, I'm just not having enemies attack me. And it's because of the sheer stat demand that this kind of setup requires to actually usefully apply this amount of damage.
They aren't from the neural sentry. Destroy them.
Can those
They
two,
are
like,
trying for your life support.
join the enemies? I need them where the enemies are. I really need them where the enemies are, but I suppose they can die to my companion, that works. There we go. One down. Try and group up everyone onto this one. Eventually got there. Overguard's a bastard. Is it the cost of being locked to a companion? Sure, yeah, you are locked to be locked to one of the 2 invisibility granting companions. Considering how many people lock themselves to Panzer Profiler, it's not exactly a much change of pace. Yeah, there's another Shock Xmas. They are the bane of invisibility. Where did that Shock Xmas go? There he is. I think that got him. Another Xmas defying the rules. There we go. Damn it, it stole the orb. Damn it, it stole the orb again. Come over here. There we go. I do feel like I'm still fighting Vortex sometimes when placing the Photon Strike. And, oh, something's giving everything overguard. Why was that invented? Here's my hydrate. Shoot. I nearly died because they were shooting at my duplex bombs. Again with the overguard everywhere. Ew! Oh, that stole the orb. I should probably get my tower on strike active. There we go. Is it good for anything? Let's find out. I don't think I have that one upgraded. Okay, Mania took a few hits there, but I need more on them. That Xmas is going to be a little bit of a problem. I need to stand right close to the epicenter. There we go, to convince the Acolyte to die in it. Life support has unfortunately run a bit low here. Spent a lot of life support whilst trying to deal with the Thrax without becoming visible. Does Vortex do damage? Yes. Magnetic damage. And not a whole lot of it. Oh, I'm visible. What? I didn't realize I was that far from enemies for so long. Shit! There we go, we're good now. Stop with the goddamn overguard. How did you land that? Alright, 10-minute point. Oh, no, fuck, I broke my invisibility because I thought I pressed 5, but I pressed 4. Oops. There we go, it's all good. Did I deal with the Thrax? Yes. Okay, I think I am satisfied with what I've seen here. Have I spent much time on the new Mind Layer? That was not going to be my primary focus so far because Mind Layer was already... Well, at least Flechette was already good. Let's get out of here. And let's consider what I've looked at so far, and then where we can go next with Vauban. I know I haven't even touched on Tesla Bank, things like that. It's fine.
Here will serve you well.
Okay. So, Photon Strike damage is now in a much better spot than it used to be. You definitely do need to invest strength into it, though. Because if you don't get a one-shot, it's wasted. It needs to kill enemies to amplify that damage around it, because that's basically quadruple damage, even if one enemy dies. Quadruple to the others. That's just the nature of how blast procs work, so you have to make it where there are dying enemies in range of the other enemies. Otherwise the stronger ones are just going to sit there and do nothing. Could this be a funny mecha set aura mod? As claustrophobia with as few words as possible. The answer to that is basically no. So the way the mecha set could produce the value there is if the enemies are, first of all, the correct enemy is marked. Second of all, that enemy dies. Third of all, it dies with those useful blast procs on it. That's not going to come up often enough. The mecha set is already painful enough to utilize in that way. For blast from Photon Strike, it's just not going to be it. I'm going to be quite honest. Getting enough strength to one-shot potential on armored tough enemies is rough. Yeah, so that's where having a companion that can paint them with viral procs helps. Viral heat, corrosive, any of that lot will work alongside. You can use Bastille in areas to strip that armor, or again, as we've been demonstrating throughout this, focus on the weaker units and let the stronger units kind of blow up around them. Because for all of the armor they can get, and that armor is a max of 10 times damage reduction, if you slap down a Photon Strike on, say, 3 weak enemies next to a strong one, all 3 of the weak ones explode for 3 times ability damage, you've just dealt 10 times damage to the main target that you were aiming for. So yeah. What about stacking Purple Tower Electric to bolster Photon Strike damage? What about it? It'll do exactly what you've just described, so yeah. You will get exactly the results you think you'll get there. No more, no less. Exactly that amount. And if you want to invest those Archon shards into that, go for it. Do bear in mind, you now need to make sure that you apply that electric status to the enemies. And sure, yeah, Tesla Nervos can do that to an extent. To an extent. I'll be honest, I am surprised that this strength was sufficient for Photon Strike to maintain in that level 200 mission, but it did do its work there. I'm disappointed in trying to get all the stats to work together whilst also using the armor from Bastille. I think my biggest issue with it is that you need Bastille for the armor, but Bastille holds the enemies at a distance, and that distance is much larger than the radius of Photon Strike. Photon Strike here a 12.25 meter radius, Bastille a 17.5 meter radius. Even if I pixel perfectly placed it so that Bastille landed 12.25 meters away from an enemy on one edge, I would still be, what, 10.5 meters away from the other one, I want to say? Yeah. Because that would cover a diameter of 24.5. This is 35 meters. So yeah. It would still be 10.5 meters short of the other side. And the blast procs are even smaller still. Increasing your range stat does not increase the range of blast procs. Infamous, your math might be correct. I'm not going to double check it right now, but it sounds in the right kind of ballpark. And yeah, as enemy level goes up, it actually becomes easier to kill them above level 100, simply because once you've already got the Seal Path modifier in place, you've already got their level scaling to that point. their EHP graph is below the curve of the damage graph of Photon Strike. So yeah. Dr. Professor say, I think it could be worth dropping the strength down even further. They're running 150 strength and, quote, not having any issues getting kills in Steel Path, Tav or Tycho. Tavayuni? Yeah. There's still playing around that needs to be done in terms of where are the raid points. I do still find it, though, that we've had points where there were enemies that were more resilient and were surviving. Dropping the strength down and missing out on those instances is where I find my concern point coming in. Because it's all well and good having enough strength for 80, even 90% of the mission. If you don't have enough strength for 10% of the mission, then you run into a problem. It's like the whole energy economy situation earlier. It's not enough to have energy to cover you for 90% of the mission. If you run out of energy in 10% of it, you just die. Is this going to be my next video? It is not, no. It may be an upcoming video. It's covering Vauban in more detail. In fact, I probably will. But my next video is one that is... It's a doozy. For those of you who don't know, I've been working for a while on a certain return to a video I did... was it? Yeah, 3 years ago now. For a progress update on that, I have done all of the writing. I have recorded all of the script audio. I have cleaned up all the audio, got the final duration I want that to be. I have recorded a hefty chunk of the scenes. Not all the scenes, but a hefty chunk of the visual scenes for everything. I have planned out about half of the actual scene placements within it. The other half still needs to be put into precise planning. I've created the overlays necessary for it, in this case of putting them all into place. I've created the star rating system, I've done the math for it all. As of the start of this stream, or so basically as of right now, I am up to page 4 of the document, of the script as it were. Everything that is in there up to the end of page 4, a little bit past it, is fully done in the video. All the placements, all the overlays, all the details, all the voiceover, everything. Up to page 4. Now, in a typical video of mine, that would basically be done. Because that's around about 14 minutes in, I think. That's page 4 of 24. So this video is a bit of a doozy. This video is a bit of a doozy. I think it's going to be around about 75 minutes long. But it's one that has been hotly requested and is well overdue to be done. So it's going to take a while to bring it all together, but it'll be hella worth it. A feature-length Kengineer video. With timestamps, don't worry. But it does mean that Vauban's going to have to wait. Because I'm not putting that particular video off any longer. So yeah, that's been my YouTubing day for the last few days. Is just working on that, having previously done some recordings on streams, I've done some work last year. Yeah. How long did I just say? At least 75 minutes long. At least 75 minutes long. Now, thankfully, there is no way that D can invalidate the whole video in one dev stream. Joe. It's just not possible. A movie. Yeah, feature length. That's gonna be a bunch. But I'm sure you'll all appreciate it. Based on previous responses to similar videos, yeah. Latest longest video is the Power Grim guide. Oh god, I forgot that existed. Oh, I forgot the Power Grim guide existed. Oh, if there's ever a video I regretted making, it was that one. Oh my god, how long was that video? Let's have a look here. Paragrams. That was 53 minutes long. 53 minutes long. And I genuinely didn't realize just how much of an impossibility that video was going to be. If I knew what I knew at the end of making that video, at the start, I never would have made it. Genuinely. And I say this even knowing that quite a few people have watched it since. Like, it's on 107,000 views. That's not a bad return on a video. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. What's a paragrim? It's the owls in Duviri. So the paragrim hutches are the owl puzzles that have 3 symbols on them. Sometimes 3. There are other cases. And you need to find ways to activate those symbols in the very nearby area. There are so many of these paragrim puzzles, and D didn't announce their locations, didn't announce the number of them, gave basically no information about them at all, other than they exist, they're a challenge, go do them. Figure it out. And early information indicated that there might have been, like, 1 or 2 dozen of these hutches. The amount of searching I went through, both alone and with this community, the amount of searching I went through to find as many of these hutches as possible, to figure out how they operate, and then record them from the beginning so that you can see how to do it, to do that guide as complete as possible, was an ordeal. At that time, at least one of them was bugged to be impossible to complete. Wasn't great. And since then, for reasons that truly blow my mind, with them already being so many that I practically had an aneurysm trying to find as many as I did, D then released more paragrim hutch puzzles into as yet undisclosed locations around the map. And so occasionally, from time to time, I'll have another upset comment on the video of people going, hey, I tried to find the puzzle, but I've stepped through and you haven't got this one. I thought you said this was all the puzzles. It was, and then they added more, and I can't fix that for you. It's a thing. Yeah. Not my favourite video on the channel whatsoever. Not at all. Aren't those the puzzles that get you the Sinter? Yes. Yeah. The Sinter, which had an interesting alt fire that turned out to be a bug. The alt fire wasn't ever supposed to exist. Malasitos, I think that was grievance was on the line of the Paragrim Guide was a problem because it took so long to produce that, yeah, had that impact. Yeah, the alt fire bug with the Sinter was wild. And it's nothing I'm going to get into too deeply right now, but suffice to say, if you know about it, yeah, that was certainly an experience. God knows how that came to end the way it did, but it did. Anywho, Photon Invis or Photon Health Tank, I mean, those basically have just demonstrated the capacity of it therein. So, let's mess with the next least used thing by me, which is Tesla Bank. I remember that we've previously visited this augment on stream before Vauban's retouch, and I remember initially things went explosively well with it, and it was like, oh my god, wow, this could really be something, and then I could never repeat that. No matter how much I tried, no matter the circumstances I went through, no matter reviewing the clip of someone made of that moment, I couldn't figure out why it was so explosively good in one mission and then just never did that good again. So we can see now, with the changes to these Teslas, if maybe there is something that can work out on it. But before I continue with that, I've gone through all of my drinks, so I'm going to be back in just a moment. Don't y'all go anywhere. Good heavens, Moon, you can let go of the drone button, you know that, right? That is an unreasonable amount of dronage from one person. Okay, so Tesla Bank. Tesla Nervous Augment. Enemy health when a Nervous is first attached is converted into an 8-meter burst of electricity when killed. Simple as that, really. So if it attaches to a full health enemy and then we kill them, it should lead to a burst of damage equal to their entire health as electricity. Makes sense to me, right? And before we go any further on that, we have a request for some green. There we are. And it is. So, first thing that comes to mind is, can we make that even bigger? That? Yes, we can. Wonderful. 14 meters of range on that. That should be interesting. Does the burst damage scale with strength? I'm not seeing any strength stats on there for it. Wiki is going to be out of date, potentially, on these details, but at the very least, Wiki previously on it, say here, damage unaffected by strength, and also noted it previously needed line of sight, may still need it, we don't know yet. But there's no note in the patch notes to say otherwise, so I can largely assume this remains the same. So if it doesn't scale with strength, I mean, I'm immediately thinking overextended. We do lose strength from other areas, of course. You know, we make Mine Layer terrible for grab damage, for the damage on it. It'll make Photon Strike basically non-existent, and I'm sure will have some negative effect on a Vortex. Yeah. Did we get a new update? Yeah, we got Vauban Heirloom, a whole bunch of other cosmetics, and also a Vauban Retouch. But yeah, if we just kind of like, you know, all of the range, 21 meter turbo pop off of this. We can give that a try. In terms of a thingammy bobbity up here, what do we have in the dash variety that I'd want to use? As I thought, with this electricity, again, trusting that the wiki is up to date on the matter, deals electric. Does it deal electric proc or just electric? Doesn't look like it makes any mention of a proc. It's a little unfortunate. Would have liked a status proc on that. Oh well. How does Vauban feel so compared to before? Photon Strike actually deals worthwhile damage now, but it still requires you to have one-shottable enemies, which the blast proc itself doesn't change. Riddick is saying, disregarding wiki, Tesla non-orbit electric proc source patch notes change to passive. Tesla non-orbit electric procs. I'm not sure what you're trying to communicate there, Riddick. You've cut out too many of the words to fit it into 2 lines that I now actually can't tell what you're saying, sorry. If you're trying to say that Tesla Nervos has a status chance, yes, but it's Tesla Bank that I'm focused on. Because it's that thing that I want a big old electric proc from. Not the Tesla Nervos. The Tesla Nervos can do whatever they damn well please, quite frankly. Passive damage bonus now applies to enemies stunned by electric procs and Teslas. Okay. Also not the focus, but fair enough. I'm guessing there's some replies going on that weren't replying. Y'all gotta remember, I can't tell if you're telling me something or telling someone else something unless you use that reply button to tell the other person that you're replying to them. Hit the reply button. It's good. Or if you can't do that, at them. Alright, seeing as no one has the answer, the only way to find out is to test it. Let's go do exactly that. Shade, just double check, is not equipped with... Actually, we don't want Shade for the moment. Let's switch to my No Shooty Worm as a nice safe testing build. See, testers could always proc electric, so that's not anything. I don't know what people are referring to, but testers could already proc electric, so... What? Alright then, let's just grab a couple idiots. I go one of these. Eh? Okay, that's not what I expected. You got the Electro proc, and you just get the mark above your head. At no point did this one receive an Electro proc. That was absolutely not what I expected to have happen here. This is off to a great start. Okay. I am aware the stayer's chance when tested over our scales of strength, yes. Yeah, it used to be a flat 50%, now it's strength based, yeah. Alright, we'll grab you. 25 for this. What is passive? I feel like you should have a look at the patch notes for some basic questions like that. Let's be real. There we go. Okay, so now that shouldn't stretch far enough, actually. What is the radius on this? 15.9 meters. I may have overcooked the build a little bit. Let's fix that down. I need it wide enough to cross a 12-meter gap on explosion, but not on attachment. So let's just drop the overextended for the moment. That should be okay. Yeah, 10.5 radius, 14 meter radius on bank. Perfect. Okay. We go wab up. Took it a moment, but it got there. There we go. And then if I just kind of, you know, interesting. That was, well, it was reduced by armor. It's a big problem there. It also did not proc electric this time. This whole electric on the tester itself is going to make this a pain to verify. Let's go max out the bombards. And then let's clear out the ones I don't want. That's just going to come rolling in, isn't it? I don't know where it is. It's just an orb out there. Threateningly. Yeah, let's get rid of all of these that are in range of the normal stuff. Don't want you around. You, don't want you, don't want you. Don't want any of you lot. Or you. So all the rest of these should be at best in range of the one. Sorry, of the orbment, but not of the one. Oh, well timed. Okay, good. So let's see. What do you mean none of... It just... Did the Tesla nervos just break moments before I killed the guy? What the... Ah. It lasted so long and then did that to me. How absolutely dare it. Yo. The Great Caped Goomba. With your Prime. Thank you for dropping by once again there. Much appreciated. Up onto 14 months. Cheers on that. Cheers indeed. Alright, one more bombard. This will spawn it in the correct place anyway for testing purposes. So let's have a ganders here. We go whap up. It attaches. I go shooty. So 3 of them took damage. All of them took the exact same amount of damage, which tells me there is no damage fall off over distance. And I don't think a single one of them got electric procced by that 30k. You took a proc. Hold on. Back record. Rather than guessing and hoping, back recording. You guys see this? Yep, good. Okay. No, at the same time as the 30k, 15 damage with a proc was also landed. So I'm seeing absolutely none of these landing electric proc on their adjacent allies. So seems to me Tesla Bank does not do electric proc. It is entirely just electric damage. That's a little sad. I feel like it could do so much with that. But okay, we'll work with what we got. Oh, that one timed out before I could use it. Yep. No proc. No proc. Yeah. Okay, no proc. Okay, so thinking about it then, what does that do to it? What does that limit for us? It means then that the strength of the damage is tied to the amount of hit points on the target at the point of attaching. We can't improve on that in any way. It is just what it... We can't currently improve on that in any way. I have a meme idea, but it's going to be a shitty one, so I'm not going to focus on it. But yeah, we can't really improve on that in a useful manner. Armor reduces the damage, so even if we do get a hefty target, we run into issues. Well of life? Well, there's your question. Now what's the rest of it, please? Let's see, if I go to a heavy gunner, so a heavy gunner has a health of 355,000 at level 200, but an elite lancer has an EHP of 3 million at the wrong level. Let me bring that down to level 200. Has an EHP of 1.8 million. So the health of a heavy unit turned into that proc wouldn't be enough to honestly even scratch an elite lancer. Now granted, elite lancer is not a weak unit, it's 182,000 health. In fact, that's it. Oh yeah, I didn't realize. Yeah, elite lancers have half the health of a heavy gunner. I swear it used to be a lot more different than that. But fair enough, you know. You think electric damage purple shards? So the electric damage purple shards, which if you're referring to is this one here, gain plus 10% ability damage on enemies affected by electric status, would require the enemies to already be affected by electric status. The electric damage from the Tesla Bank wouldn't be buffed without that. And that would mean that we'd need to have strength if we're going to rely on the Tesla Nervals to be doing that for us. And that then precludes the use of overextended, so we get a smaller range, and now it's kind of working against itself. It's a problem there. Is it damage decoy time? Damage decoy is something that occurs to me that could work with this, because you could use strength to pump up the hit points of the target, attach a Tesla Nervals to it, and then blow them up, and it would have that strength boosted damage sent around everything. Similar to what I did with Smite. Welcome back, Mirrorlade. Is the meme build using Well of Life to buff the HP of the target? Does Well of Life buff the HP of a target? I don't recall this being a thing, but I could be wrong. I'll check the wiki as well, but I'm not familiar with Will of Life buffing the health of the target you put it on. No. No, it makes the target invulnerable. You thought it did because it worked with things like acid shells. Okay, I don't know what combo you're referring to, I'm just not familiar with it. Yeah, no idea on that one, sorry. Whatever you're trying to pull off there, I am not familiar with it for this setup. I think if we can make this work, it's going to work off of this basis. Now, the only problem is that if we strip down our strength, we strip down the armor strips, this is not going to be effective against armored units, but it's fine. Not everything has to work against everyone. Can we make this work, at least on a corpus infested basis? Let's go with... Gonna do that, we don't need corrosive projection. Although, that'll give us more room on our armored stuff. Oh, is it an old version of Wildlife? Fair enough then. Fair enough. I must have expunged that from my memory. There is always the option of using Precision Intensify to bring up the armor strip on this again, so that could be in the back of the mind on things, but... Alright now. Let's see, so... What do we need for this? Number of charges, I don't know if that's affected by any stat we can work with. Yeah, it's affected by duration. Okay, so duration makes it where the Tesla levels can hit an enemy more times before they bust, so that's cool. This is going to have maximum grab range, this is going to have maximum vortex range, that's all good. Photon Strike is just not going to be useful here. Not sure which phrase you're upset with this time, Zomb, okay. I feel like some casting speed would go great on this one, considering what we're trying to do. And then overall, we're just going to need to have some basic defenses, so some rolling guard, and circumvent. Will give us some general defensive approach. We just roly-poly-poly. And then, who doesn't love a little bit of... I don't even know at this point. Let's... If I don't know, don't need to put mods on at the moment. Let's just give us some more health pool. Honestly, Zom, I still don't know what you're referring to at this point. I say a lot of things quickly. Let's just be really frustrating and put Prime Vigor on there. I'm sure it's going to hurt people. Sentinel say, question, is it possible that Tesla Bank stores damage dealt to a target regardless of their health? Where using Well of Life would store more damage than their max HP? Did the old one store 80% damage dealt? I'm not sure I follow, but it very explicitly says it deals the damage based on the hit points the target has when attached. It says health, but it actually means hit points. God damn you, D. Anyone want a brief rant? Which is only tangentially related to this. Anyone okay with a quick little rant aside when it comes to the phrasing of mods? Because we're going on one anyway now. I've started. We're going for it. Lingering transmutation, you may notice, looks a little bit different after this update. Transmutation probe augment. Probe returns to cast position after reaching max range and remains nearby for 15 seconds. Recall probe by recasting, recast again to end. Brilliant. Brilliant. It has been clarified to say what it actually does. We love this. You see here. Status effects from abilities that deal heat damage will be applied twice. No. No, that's completely wrong. I'm not sure why DE felt the need to fix this one little detail to be a bit more clear as to where the probe goes to. And yet, that's the only one they touched. I looked through the rest of the patch notes. I didn't see another mod where they'd taken the time to go, yes, let's correct this. You thought Arc of Vitality has +1 heat proc and ability has a heat status proc? You are correct, Cypherra, yeah. Abilities that apply heat status apply an additional heat status. Not all status effects, not from abilities that merely deal heat damage, and not twice. Interesting, because Valence was in the basket of things that we're looking at already. To an extent, I get that, if this was just on the board of things to look at. It's just a... After all the mods that have stayed out there with inconsistent wording for so long, and by inconsistent I mean, in this case, just objectively incorrect, this got its slight clarification added onto it. Of all the mods to address, lingering transmutation got it. I mean, out of the two, I would have figured this one would be a higher priority to go, yes, that should absolutely be corrected. I don't understand sometimes. I know there's got to be some rhyme or reason to it. There are explanations for the machinations of wonderful game creators, but yes. From Alex Carwell saying, on this topic, what does defenses mean? Armor, overguard, shields? It means what it means in the moment. There is no consistent answer to that. Defenses can mean armor, or armor and shields, or armor and shields and overguard, or some other combination of defenses therein. Warframe does not use a keyword-based system, and therefore you cannot rely on the definition of defenses to be consistent from A to B. You just can't. It's like how plus damage and times damage are neither consistent. I'm not even going to start on my faction mod rant right now. But yeah, in terms of a stupid build, stupid starting point, let's just go with a stupid starting point. We've got absolutely turbo max range on this. I'm curious to see how this will go down. I'm genuinely curious to see what will happen with this. So let's leave the simulacrum. I'm going to keep the no shooty worm equipped. We'll just roll with that for now. And honestly, yeah, let's just go straight back to Circulus. Let's go straight back into here. Vauban's tank should be pretty damn dire here. I want to see if I can out-damage his bad tank.
Each enemy is more powerful than before. Only with true mastery of the Tenno arsenal will you succeed.
Okay, die to the Latum then. Okay, die to the Zorus then. Grab both my guns back now, thank you very much. There we are. From Cypher, honestly, think about the Arkham that upsets me greatly. They're so limited. Yeah, that's its own discussion, but you're absolutely right. Was the Vauban retouched today? Yes, it was. Hello there, Ellie. I'm doing alright. Hope you're doing well yourself.
The Orican Neural Sentry is attempting to purge you from this place. Stand by for life support.
Okay, so, Tesla Nervos. Apply. Gonna stun a whole bunch of stuff, and then we do that, and Big Bomber. Big Bomber. Wow, that black energy goes hard with that. Where's the marked ones? There we go. So I'm trying to just focus the marked ones. I acknowledge that I just fired through an entire line of them there, but whatever. I probably didn't need to recast there, but I did it. having no passive health recovery here is pain. Something just shot 400 hit points off of me. Yeah, I said the tank on this was going to be abysmal. I was not wrong. These explosions are not landing the way I'd like them to. Okay, a few things finally died there. There we go, we got it on an Xmas unit. That actually dealt some damage. Okay, they are continuing to roll this way for some reason. Oh, Vauban, your lack of self-healing continues to hurt me. Am I going to have to use a Furus? These have run out. Get some new ones down. See, that was beautiful. When it latches to an Xmas unit, there's so many hit points there, it actually does some good damage. But if it latches to a Butcher, it might as well have just not happened. If it targeted high priority units, if it targets, I don't actually know if it doesn't, but if it targeted high priority units, I could see this being very effective. But I'm also seeing it latching onto Butchers quite frequently, and Butchers are basically not it. They have enough hit points to just make you sad. Okay, let's switch to this now. Yeah, that worked. Okay, this is working. It's a little stupid, but this is working. Completely filling my screen with black energy color is making me very satisfied that I didn't use anything even remotely brighter. Ah. For those of you wondering if Vortex's line of sight... What is this? It's a problem, that's what it is. Uh-oh. I was better over this way. If I cast this a few times over... I don't have enough energy to cast it a few times over. I'm good. Yoink, your armor is mine. We're good, we're good, we're good, we're good, we're good, we're good. Okay. Big ol' Thraxian enemies, dodge the laser beams of doom.
I can search, but if you need to leave, extraction is ready. Hiding Lua in the void risked the unfathomable. I fear we are seeing the consequences of that risk now. Destroy these void-stained enemies.
Big ol' explosion. So I wouldn't say this is the best, but I also wouldn't say it's the worst. In combination with the crowd control and just aim generally for a target in there that is marked by the Tesla bank, it does something. This is certainly one of the builds of all time, isn't it? So what if I just... I mean, that's not going to do a lot of damage, surely. Yeah. With this strength, the flechette is not really doing anything. Makes a satisfying sound when you cast it. But we are just basically making a whirlpool. That I just, every now and then, fire a few kill shots into, and there is an explosion of black. Energy, please. Oh, that was ineffective as hell. There we go. That was better. How's Orbital Strike? You want strength on it, usually. I mean, I can cast it here for almost no effect. Oh, we've got something handing out bloody Overguard again. Stop handing out Overguard to basic units! Alright. I don't know where the Tesla Nervos have sorted off to this time. I'm just going to recast them. Let me just roll through you to remove your Overguard. There we are. We have an Angst on their way in. I'm just going to shoot Angst. There we are. That was honestly just easier in every way. As a proof of concept and working against armored enemies, no less, I'd say this is showing it can do what we want it to do. Uh-oh. Now needs to recover all of my hit points. Thank you, thank you. Does the unvault rework / retouch frames? Vauban normal is not vaulted, so yes by default. As for Vauban Prime will eventually be in Resurgence. When? That's up to D to announce.
Void manifestations drawn to this cursed place of stolen lives. They will drain your life support unless
And
they're
that one.
destroyed.
Broski, please don't. Oh dear. There we go. Please do not put health leech pads on my standing spot. This is not very conducive to my hit points. Yeah, this is basically a weird form of, what's it, Clervo's ability, the chaining one. Okay, a little bit of an early cast on that Arson Xmas. You hit all of nothing. Well done. Collective Curse, that's the one, yeah. That's what this Tesla Bank is coming across as to me, is a kind of a weird, not as effective, but also repeatedly applicable Collective Curse. You don't get the immediate effect, you don't get the extreme amount of power that you get out of the chaining, but instead it just keeps happening and happening and happening. Yeah, this is Vauban's dishwasher. The enemies are the dishes, in case you didn't grab that bit. I did manage to spend 11 minutes in that area before life support starting to look a little concerning.
Technology may work here due to the Circulus's proximity. If you have a necromech, you may use it.
You know what, honestly, Lotus, I don't think the necromech is my concern right now. Okay, I probably want to do this, like, here. Because this will get best line of sight on a bunch of enemies. My gun! Give me my gun back. I use that. Got my favourite bullets. Do I think that 3 is good enough to keep on a Flechette Orb build now, or still keep Teslas over it? That's a very tough call, and I think that's going to be dependent on the playstyle you're going for. Because if you're doing a lot of grouping, then the 3 can be very powerful, but then I also know, Zom, you in particular, like you seeing Nourish, and you want to go Nourish and energy gain, and the energy gain you can get... Oh, bollocks. Didn't roll through things recently. There we go. Yeah, the energy gain you can get from Archon Stretch with Nourish will probably sway your decision. I didn't want to go over that. I want to stand on top. Like... Stop! There we go. Right. All I wanted was to stand here. That was trolling. And now I need to roll through stuff because I need the tank again. What? Why? Why? I mean, if you don't want to put in effort, this is quite effective in the low effort department of just let them come to my aim, isn't it? How does Mania fare with this? Mania's on the wrong side of the world, so that's a problem. Mania, please come closer to the doom. Thank you. Not as effective as I would like in Doom terms. Oh, No, that's a problem. That can't stay there. Uh-oh. I didn't know that you could place these on the edge of a, an Arctic Xmas frost bubble. Now I know. Let's just kill Mania. It's beginning to piss me off just being there.
This place holds many more secrets. These manifestations must not be allowed a foothold on Lua.
Damn, he got out of range.
Life support is at risk. Destroy them.
Wait, where is he? There we go. I feel like Mania should, you know, really take a shower. Very stinky not getting into the communal bath I have created. How dare I? No, don't Magbrock. Bad. Bad. Bad Xmas. Stop. There is an issue if the Tesla Nervals go and stun something that's outside of the grab range. But... oh, for fuck's sake. This is just trolling me too much. I can't. I don't think I have ever been messed with by terrain as much as this thing. What are you even trying to do? Vauban's doing a bootleg Nidus here? I mean, this is a lot better than what Nidus can do. Nidus can lava once per cast. Vauban can just set and forget for a while. Look, whichever member of DE created these, I'm not mad, I just want to talk. Please ignore the knife, shotgun, sword, and flamethrower I would bring to such talk. It is my emotional support flamethrower. What's the massive grey particle effect that keeps happening occasionally? So the mass of grey and black is my Tesla bank. I have black energy colour. No, you believe it if I cast that. Now imagine this with any energy colour other than black. Seriously, just any energy colour that isn't black with this setup. I think you'd have all left by now. Certainly those of you that complain about light mode. Infamous, that is a little bit of a disconcerting approach. You've said you've graphed out stuff, trying to find out one-shot potentials, but then you also tell me that you've failed all of your classes this semester. I only know of one other person who has managed to fail all of their classes before now. Granted, there are plenty of people who do, but I only know one who failed all of them. Granted, that person is now a doctorate in the very same subjects they failed. Literally got a doctorate in it. But I think that case might not be as common. Point being, yeah, you're not really selling your stats work to me. Also, I'm not joking about the whole failed every class turn into getting a doctorate in it. That dude put in work. You know how much of an excuse it is, but you've been kind of depressed? Yeah, been there, done that myself. It's not a fun one, is it? It is not a fun one. I hope you can find some joy and a recovery from that. Boy howdy, it sure fucked up my degree. This build feels like you slip up once and die. Okay, so what's the bit I slip up with, though? Like, I've been here for nearly 20 minutes. When did I slip up? Into a way that really matters. I did go down once, but I was reading chat. You just kind of keep the vortex up and keep on casting Obliterate. You need a good gun or something to trigger the boom, but then, yeah, big bada boom bop. With the massive reach that we can get, big bada boom bop. Hi guys. No, 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 don't go in vulnerable laser dance mode. Fuckers.
But outside the corrupted, they are draining your life
there we go.
And fast. Eliminate them quickly.
Do I think gas would help this out a lot? Honestly, yeah, gas would be a shout here, wouldn't it? Because then you just pull stuff into the center, it dies to the gas, bang. Dies to the gas, bang. Repeat. Yeah, some kind of lingering damage field here. That'd work. Blast, not so much, because blast happens and then it's done. And then the enemies that get pulled in and go, oh, was there a blast here? Don't care. Gas. Gas lingers. You do a stupid high status duration on a melee? Yeah, that'd work. That doesn't have to be a melee, it could be on anything really, but yeah. I feel like melee you can get the gas more reliably. Alright, I've spent 20 minutes on this one cheesy, silly build. It's clearly effective. I'll be quite honest. It is clearly effective. We don't really need much tank because we got crowd control out the wazoo. You just set yourself up somewhere and win. But if you want tank, we've got Rolling Guard and Arcane Circumvent, and quite honestly, that has demonstrated all of the survivability needed for sit at the edge of Ultra AoE crowd control win. But yeah, good damage output to quickly dispatch of the marked targets is crucial there.
What you have learned here will serve you well.
But still, screw everything that puts Overguard on the whole group though, that sucks. Okay, so what can we do with that build to make it more? Because it was good, but, you know, I didn't finish filling in the build. How can we make it more? I mean, I did have Prime Vigor as my tank on there, but that was a bit stupid. It worked, but it's still stupid. In terms of bits and pieces, now, I don't know if Tesla Bank is affected by any other boosts of any kind. Like, if Raw almost certainly would work with it, but that would also require investing into a Raw approach. We're keeping our 4th ability, we're keeping our 1st. I didn't really use the 2 and 3 in this setup. 3 is just a damage output. Granted, it's got one hell of a radius on it, it's got those blast procs, but it is just a damage source. You don't need to spend energy on a damage source when you can just shoot into this. So, yeah. And then for Mind Layer, Vector Overdrive, if you want to put the strength into it, you can get the damage bonus out of it. If it applies to it, don't know as yet, don't need further testing. Speed Boost, we're not going anywhere. Grabbing enemies sounds great, except they're going to be grabbed well enough by this. It grabs them at a greater range if it gets the LOS to do it. Well. Yeah, you could put the Tesla Nervos and Tesla Bank onto other frames and just build them out entirely from there. Absolutely viable too. My only concern would be the potential of failing to affect enemies due to terrain. One of the big parts of Vortex is it puts the enemies basically right on top of each other. So you don't need to go hunting for the target that has been marked. You just shoot the pile. Eventually you'll hit the Tesla Bank target and then bomba. And as you saw, eventually was happening in like a fraction of a second. It's kind of hard to beat a fraction of a second for finding and killing a target that is marked. And look at this thinking as to modifying the strength back up. But it only really comes down to Bastille for armor removal, and to be honest, those enemies were still dying despite the armor. It was quite effective. Although Bursting is a very good weapon. Yeah. Not really sure on that. Is there any inspiration I can draw from this lot? I think most of this is going to be frankly irrelevant to such an approach. Yep. A rite of passage. Thank you very much for dropping in Prime here. Welcome into the channel proper and enjoy your lovely blue sub badge. along with all the other bits and pieces you get there, like no more ads for you. Cheers. Speaking of which, ads are actually due to hit in 10 seconds. Indeed. Oh yeah. The days of armor strip or slash was the only way to kill stuff. I am so glad that is dealt with. Ew. Armor removal is up to 10 times damage bonus, but it's only up to 10 times. Not up to that or nothing. Oh yeah. Other weapons would have handled that situation just fine. I'm not saying that the burst gun is the only reason we succeeded there. I'm saying that it was very effective because it's just a very good gun. It's hard to find where the breakpoint is without retesting further down there. But it still works. Are the Testa Sub Nervos summons? I think the best answer for that is going to be on the Arcane Camisado page, is it not? Arcane Camisado, is that the one? Text from summons, yeah. Let's see. The following are counted as summons, blah 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 blah. Vauban not on that list. Following do not count as summons, blah 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 blah. Vauban's Testa Nervos. Well, poop. According to the wiki, they are not counted. And I have no reason to disbelieve that because that would be a very specific thing to lie about. Oh well. Great idea. Immediately pooped on. Sorry about that. We can get the extra ability duration. Not against that. Otherwise... Can't say much else really stands out to me. That's such a bad arcane. It's so bad. Yo, LU, thank you very much for gifting a sub over to Crowned Ladybug. Much appreciated there. Thank you very much there, LU. Cheers. I'm still digging. Is there any other bits? Yo!
I summon a sub badge.
That you do indeed. Toriel, thank you very much for dropping your prime here once again up onto 4 months of support there. And that means you have once again got your silver badge next to your name there. Cheers! That was a really weirdly high-pitched cheers. How much armor can you give Vauban through abilities? I think it's a flat 1500 because I didn't see any skinning with... No, there was no skinning on strength. 1500 for the armor from abilities. Yo! The trustiest gamer! Thank you very much for dropping your prime here as well. And joining the hype train y'all have just kicked off there, no less. Thank you very much for dropping that here alongside the others. This is one of those core moments where if you did want to drop a sub or gift a sub, this is the time to do so, because you get extra benefits from Twitch. You get yourself extra emotes along the way, as well as, of course, supporting yours truly, yeah. So if you are holding on to a Prime sub, if you've got Amazon Prime and haven't used your Prime Gaming this month, then here is a channel you can absolutely do so on. Gets rid of the ads, gives you the sub badge, gives you the emotes, which you can use on Discord and on Twitch. All of that good stuff. But mostly it gets rid of the ads, let's be real. That is, like, top priority. Fuck the ads. You're very welcome, gamers. And welcome on in. Hope you are doing well yourself. Miracle Raven, thank you very much for dropping a tier 1 sub onto the channel here. You've just leveled up. You no longer got that bronze badge. You've got yourself a silver mug next to your name there. Cheers, Miracle Raven. Cheers indeed. Steadfast would not be a thing I would want here. Let's see, tank, tempo, fallout. I mean, I suppose you could go with fallout. Oh no, it's only by abilities. Never mind, you can't go with fallout. Do I know if raw is multiplicative with overdrive? It's not something I've looked into so far, and certainly with the changes we've had, we can't just trust such mathematics to the wiki, but I can at least verify what wiki believed in the past, which was overdriver. Wiki didn't know. Yeah, not sure on that one, sorry. Alright, Miralabe, you have yourself a good rest. Take care. Let's see. Crit, headshot key. We don't need the strength, so that's no relevant. I suppose if you keep your shields up, bolt efficiency for a bit of duration, but concentration is probably better for that. And then yeah, that's basically the summary of the ones to care about. So yeah, I think honestly there's not really much else you need to put into here, unless there's some hidden damage enhancements within Tesla Bank. But I don't think there is. I think it is just straight up electric damage based on what hit points the enemy has, and that's that. Because it is electric damage, it does mean that it will get the electric benefits and negatives where they exist. So like if I just find electric here, no negatives actually, but it's bonus damage to Anarchs, Corpus Amalgam, and the Murmur. So if you manage to get a Murmur under the effects of Tesla Nervos, you trigger it to explode, because you killed it, it'll explode with up to 150% of the damage, of the hit points of the Murmur to other Murmur, which will just kill all of them as well. And considering that most Murmur are unarmored, that's gonna be pretty strong against them. Yeah, it's armored enemies which resist the hell out of this, but unarmored ones, they're just gonna suck. They'll die. As I'm saying, gonna be honest, sometimes I feel like even without influence, D might have overcorrected with electric. I'm not sure I agree on that, no. I'm not sure I agree on that. Without influence, electric is in an alright spot. It's not something that feels overpoweringly good because you give up corrosive and magnetic for it. We don't worry about radiation. But you give up corrosive and magnetic for it, so that's already 2 damage buffs that are just missing if you focus on an electric build. You can, however, still use it alongside Vial, like with Heat, but it doesn't have the infinite stacking, so against really resilient targets, your electric does run out. Electric, with its stun effect, is cute and all, but you also get that with Heat already. You don't get any of the armor stripping effect that you get from Heat. So there are a couple of negatives attached to it there. It's not a bad status proc, it's a pretty good one. It's just not amazingly overwhelmingly good. You can run electric with mag pretty easily. I suppose you could use the mag mods, but now they'll be competing in that sense. But yeah, you can run those two together, I suppose, yeah. But then you can also run Heat alongside Radiation for the same reason, so bit of a wash. Why aren't I using Archon Stretch on this build? Because. You happy now? Energy was exactly something we were stuck on, but there we go. We'll spend the extra capacity. There we are. Blue Fortress is happy now. Excellent. Well, might as well end the stream then. Let's do us a platinum giveaway. Let's get that loaded up onto here. We just need to open up you. Heareth, weeth, goeth. There we are, that's all loaded up onto here. Aircraft Prime Figure. Honestly, I just threw it in there because I wanted a few extra hit points, just as a general survivability thing, but didn't really need much of anything. Anyway, we're now going to do a 75 plat giveaway. This is provided by D. If you'd like to join on that, !enter, like some regulars have already slammed right in. Let's move myself out of the way here. !enter in the chat for a chance to win that plat. And yes, Zom, I completely missed your message now in all of the enters. Hold on. Honestly, the one thing I think is overkill. Did Burma have to be weak to electric? Yeah. Then be weak to electric and radiation certainly was one of the choices of all time. It's like, how do we make radiation better? I know, let's make it compete with a much more powerful proc. Not exactly the the decision I would have gone with, no. Still not sure why they're weak to electric in the first place. Reanimated sand and crawling concrete doesn't strike me as the kind of thing that would worry about electricity. If I'm quite honest. But hey, hey. Hey everyone, last chances now to get in on this platinum. Last chances, exclamation mark, enter for a chance to win on that. Well, lightning does turn sand to glass. True, lightning also turns a lot of things to dead. It turns out if you put a lot of electricity into something, it has a bad day. That said, if you have alternative options to deal with sand, I wouldn't put electricity as the first way to do it. It's not exactly the most conductive material out there. Alright, we'll do the draw in 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's draw. Who is going to beat the Murmur today? Who is bringing their radiation, their electricity, their overall obliterator 9000? Well, any of you at the frontier, it's up to me. I'm going to you. Is it R3? Down to the fragmented Cal Jade, taken out the same way. Oh, yes, indeed. Only one person can be our winner today. Only one can be our winner today, but that winner is... 2 Colt 43.
Excellent
2 Colt
work,
43,
China.
congratulations.
The extraction point is up ahead.
You are our winner today of the Platinum giveaway, and it looks like we already have your details on a record, so there are no more things we need from you on that. We've got your details, we've got your win. That'll be handed out by DE straight to your account within the next couple of weeks. They send it out in batches every fortnight, so you can look forward to that there. 2 Colt. Is that 2 Colt or Tau Colt? I think that's 2 Colt, isn't it? T-O-U-2... Is it 2 or like touch? I'm not sure anymore. I really have no idea. It's 2. Okay, good. There we are then. 2 Colt. Got it. Having butchered the absolute hell out of that, I think it's about time that we raid on out of here to another part of the Warframe community. Let's see, where can we head ourselves over to today? Just going to have a quick look into the Warframe category here. It'll be just a moment on that. Who is live that we want to say hello to? I see there is a Brozime live at the moment. Xenosfire live at the moment. We have got a Gaz live at the moment. Oh, it's almost like there was an update today. Okay, but we can definitely raid on into a Brozime today. Absolutely. I mean, we've been doing some collaborations with Brozime recently and a few other creators. Exclamation mark replays if you want to catch the VODs of those. I nearly typed the raid into his chat. That's not how this works. There we go. Alright, the raid is up and running now. Once again, thank you everyone for joining in today on stream. I hope you've learned some interesting bits and pieces about the Vauban retoucher. There will of course be a video about it, but it won't be the next video out on the channel. The next video won't even be out this week. I'll be very honest with you, there is no way I'm going to get it done this week, because it's feature length. So you can look forward to that one, hopefully in the early part of next week. Hopefully. That's all for now. Bye-bye.